All systems nominal.
それでは早速全速前進
You know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven.
Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, a giant robot power hour discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. I am Brian. You may have heard of me, and I'm joined by Alice.
I'm once again cradling my wife as she goes through trauma once again, and then the timeline resets.
And Nico.
Hey guys, don't mind me. I'm just gonna be scurrying through the maintenance tunnels, kind of for my own reasons.
For personal reasons.
For personal reasons, I am in your walls.
This week, we're going to Jupiter to get more stupider with stories from Soul, the gun dog. Let's launch into it.
It's finally, listen, after years of not watching Martian Successor Nadesco, it's time for us to hear the word Jovian again.
We are dropping Jovian left and right.
For years, every day of my life, I did not watch Martian Successor Nadesco.
I've been thinking about Brian in this trying time for years, having not watched Martian Successor Nadesco.
You know, I'm going through a really good period in my life with media where Earth loses the space war and cannot extend its control over space noise. And I'm just really thriving right now.
This is true. Yeah, this is I think if you are an OSG listener, I think this has been around the corner forever because I mean, among other reasons, like Space Colony Studios, who is the developer of this game, has we've had exchanges on Blue Sky and everything. And then Jonathan Durham, the founder of the studio, is in our Discord. So if you want to talk to Jonathan Durham, you should probably join our Discord.
Great at answering questions if you have
Great
any.
at answering questions if you have any. And I can prove that at the end of this episode because I got to talk to him for a while. So that most of the production stuff is actually going to come through that. Basically, all that's front and center for us today here now is that it's a brand new one. It was released earlier in 2025 by Space Colony Studios. We'll talk about it in the interview, but at its core, some fairly distant Welsh acquaintances came together and was do you want to make a video game? And they said yes, and then they made this video game, and it kind of whips ass. I don't know, it's just so everything came together so perfectly.
I just want to say that makes so much sense with how much love you feel every moment of this game. Playing this, I was the people that made this were obsessed with it, and so am I.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Shout out to the country of Wales. Thanks for this one.
This is kind of a 6-hour game. Well, if you play it multiple times and you try to get all the endings, Time to Beat does give a 9-ish hour time. But I would say reading fairly quickly, one run is probably 5.5 to 6 hours.
Yeah, that was my experience.
And that's if you seep in it. That was me seeping in every scene and trying to find everything.
Do you mean steep?
Steeping.
Seep steeping.
It's stepping.
Or sometimes watching a really cool animation loop 900 times might also slow you down a little bit.
Yeah.
A few times it comes on and you just sit back and you're I've just got to watch these little pixels play out in loop for 5 minutes.
It's really good.
Oh, what did you guys know about this? Did you guys know anything about this?
It came across, I had heard it's the Top Gun visual novel, and so I was very excited for that. But no, the main girly in this, my future wife, my only wife, she's come up in other things on Blue Sky. I've seen her, especially after the interaction.
This is Cassandra that you're talking about?
Cassie. I call her Cassie. She's my girlfriend.
Not the chief. Confused here, not the chief.
Hey, now you can have the chief. I'm keeping Cassie. But that's all I knew. I was interested in the title being Stories from Soul with the subtitle, because playing this game, I was I really hope there's more of a cinematic universe coming out of this, because this does feel this is the incident that will start a series of visual novels.
That does appear to be the vibe, yeah.
I'm in.
I didn't know jack shit about this. Like, I feel like it's funny because it's like I have a million things in my Steam library, and yet every once in a while somebody will mention a game and it'll be like, damn, that looks good as hell. How have I never seen this on my Discover page? How do I not already own this? Like, how do I not, but that's also nice because then I get to get it and like enjoy it a lot. So yeah, no, I had a good time with this, but I'd never heard anything about this, probably because I'm not on social media. Except Tumblr. We got to post about this more on Tumblr. My Tumblr.
And the Steam algorithm is a piece of shit, even when it comes to visual novels.
That's like extremely true.
As a visual
really
novel
doesn't...
user, with how many visual novels I play and own on Steam, how is this never a suggestion? How?
The amount of pixel mecha games I own, the amount of visual novels I own, the amount of like nostalgia trap games I own. The amount of queer games I own, like you would think it would come up.
The amount of Welsh games that you own.
But no, I own one gay visual novel with like 3 sex scenes in it, and so now my Discover page is literally like 80% hentai. I'm not even kidding. It's so crazy.
I've been playing a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance, so they're trying to offer me all of the Chud games. They're trying to offer me all of the Chud games from like the last 10 years.
Kingdom
so like,
Chud.
we've heard you like watch playing sort of games with a conservative audience, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for my part, I had a new type flash, right? Because I saw this game. I saw this game's art on like a Blue Sky post. I saw that it was like this like brand new studio. I saw that it was like fairly cheap. I sent them a Blue Sky message before I'd even started playing the game, because I was like, oh, this, if anything, even if, spoiler alert, this game's good, you should play it. Even if it hadn't turned out to be a good game, it's what OSG would cover. This is like a thing this is like what we would pick in any situation.
This is what we want.
I was like, Jonathan Durham felt approachable. Space Colony felt approachable. So I like shot them a message and everything. And so like I had already planned to like studiously pull this apart before I'd even started playing it, which was fun. This is the first time it's happened that way, I think, for me. Like I don't think up to this point I've looked at something and been like, okay, this is the podcast coverage I'm doing on it. Like, that's my first thought.
The fact that you went in from the beginning that way, because I do feel like a lot of what we have brought to this might be one of the few times that none of us had touched this before engaging with it on the pod. Like, none of us had pre-existing time with stories from Seoul.
I will say I did play it when it came out, like in April. So, I've looked at stuff, but I have not actually done a full playthrough since. So these two are going to be much fresher on the take than I am. But I got notes. So shall we surmise? Nice. Shall we summarily execute this?
Hey,
plot?
what happened on the
a black screen has popped up and some green text is starting to appear on it,
and it says log of the JFS gun dog.
The GIFs. In a far-flung future, humanity... You've never heard that one on here before. In a far-flung future, humanity has long since scattered into space and had many of the plots of Gundams and Heaven Will Be Nines. Heaven Will Be Nine. Heaven Will Be Mines happen to them, etc. Our player character bears witness to a traumatic event where they are stuck in a malfunctioning launch platform, forced to witness the disastrous first sortie of their squad. 4 years later, the war is over, and the military doesn't have anything to do, so they send people to fuck off to Jupiter. And you, an embarrassed lieutenant with an awkward reputation, are assigned to the Gun Dog, a vessel scheduled to meet up with an ally in the further drifts of Jovian space. After meeting the plucky, queer, crew of the Gun Dog, including your wholesome space GF Cassandra, you are suddenly subject to a first contact crisis as the Borg attack, kidnap Cassandra, and launch a series of escalating emergency situations in which you are forced to prove your bravery, cunning, and willingness to let go of the past. In the end, it kind of depends on if you picked pickles or not, but for me, it turned out Cassandra was an alien, and I'm going to have some Battlestar Galactica shit happen to me in a sequel. Anyway, let's head to the break.
Hey, Nico here in the break.
Just popping in to say that while this is a podcast and we'll always do our best to describe the visuals we're commenting on, we'll also include a link in the show notes to the OSG website where you can find all the mechs, scenes, and other images we go over. The show notes and website also have content warnings as appropriate for each episode. One more thing. Did you know we have a Ko-fi? We decided it was time to pass the offering plate and see if we could swing some new mics, subsidize some of our hosting fees, and justify watching Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell to ourselves, which absolutely requires bribery. Check it out at ko-fi.com/OSGpod. That's ko-fi.com/OSGPOD. You can give us a little walking around money with a one-time donation. And hey, whether you can come up with a few bucks or you just stick with sharing and enjoying the show, thank you. It's a real joy to make this and know you're out there listening to it. That's it. Back to the show. So we all chose pickles, right?
I mean, you can't not choose space pickles?
Space pickles. I mean, I know they're printing them, but
they're printing. This is only a 6-hour game. I broke this up into 2 parts. It's like it's kind of not that deep for the in terms of like plot. It's basically what I said. It is the most, I would say, it's the most coherent, deliberate, and loving mishmash of references that make an actual plot that's fun and like lovable that I've seen in a long time, I think. So like everything is like followable and just like immediately like, oh, they're doing this thing now.
Yeah, I will say from the jump, nominative determinism doesn't exist unless your name is O'Brien, in which case bad shit will happen to you. I'll just leave that one there.
Yeah. I don't remember. It's again been like 3 months since I talked to him. I don't remember if we talked about Star Trek. But Star Trek is one of the things this is like teeming with.
Oh yeah.
My one is this is teeming with the Expanse. Like this is the way that the ships have no outboard windows because it's very practical space, which I want to talk about as we get into like the actual Gundog itself, which is the some might say this is the 7th character on our Friends cast, right? They're the Gunther of the central perk that is
the Gundog.
Oh. Anyway, it's that, but also spoilers for the Expanse. Outside the solar system things come, and this deals a lot with that. Like, how does as we get better technology, what happens when we meet other technologies that go far beyond that? But yeah, like Brian said, this is very much, I think all of us kind of knew the tropes. Anybody with an amount of like media literacy would be able to see a lot of where things are going. Mm-hmm. But it plays into that in the visual novel way, in a way that I, as a visual novel pervert, appreciate so much.
I will say, like, to pull back just like one step, production value is apparent from the jump. When you boot this game, and I've talked to the gang about this before, but I played this on Steam Deck. Immaculate Steam Deck play. If you have a Steam Deck, like, get this. It's great. You can flop around on your sofa. It's like you boot this game and immediately the production values are apparent. How you load into the main menu, what the main menu looks like, the music that you're hearing, how you navigate the options. Like, it's all good. One of the first things I do whenever I start a game, obviously, is go to the options. Half the time I'm turning on subtitles because I can't read or I can't hear without my subtitles.
Because I can't. I'm turning on subtitles because I can't read.
Yeah, I can't read without my subtitles.
The glyphs I can't make out comfort me. No, so like I go into settings and typically I fuck around with like whatever's there, and like especially on the Steam Deck, if there's like text size adjusters, I fuck with that. One of the first things I noticed when I went to options for the Gundog, you have graphical options here that can determine how characters look to you.
We have to talk
really
about
good.
this. We have to. It doesn't just change the characters; it changes the background. So there's 3 modes. You have your main hyper-realistic mode, which is your standard normal visual novel, pixel novel. Then you have a version that's basically just that in green tones, which is really cool. And then they have
the
Dojin
Game Boy mode. Yeah.
Dojin mode is the best one because they redrew all the characters like they're in a fucking 1970s mecha Dojin.
That's fantastic. I
they
played
look
on
awesome.
full full fidelity, but I wanted to call that out because I love that there were those different approaches.
Throughout the playthrough, I
also switched. I really enjoyed the green tones. I had that big white fuck off Game Boy when I was little, so like that was extremely pleasurable to me.
It's also it's not just a color filter. They did more. I do want to say that. Like, even just the green version, there's enough of a difference that, like, it feels really good. But yeah, I was constantly switching during scenes to see what, like, a character or a background would look like. And then in my second playthrough, I played it completely on Dojin mode.
Fantastic. Love that.
Yeah, and then to just talk about the structure a little bit, because the structure, I think, also folds into the reference pool. This is evoking like PC 98 like old style Japanese adventure games, visual novels, etc. These are all of a breed, and we've talked about them before because like we've done a bunch of visual novels, right? Like in a way. I mean, I know Heaven Will Be Mine is going to be like the one we'll pull the most, but like,
well,
I feel like
Extreme Meat Punk's forever had
that one
the
too.
Meat Punk fighting parts, but it had a lot of visual.
It had
novel
a lot of visual novel stuff in it. But yeah, we've gotten a couple of comments just kind of asking like, kind of asking like what this sounds derivative, but like what the point kind of is, because they're basically just books, right? And they are. But like they'll range, like Heaven Will Be Mine is a book with music and visuals, right? Like that's that kind of visual novel.
I think that's what I circle back to is like a lot of people will say this is a video game, but I have to do more reading. This is a video game, but I don't have as much mechanical control or something. I like to think of visual novels as this is a story, but I get music and visuals and little interactive bits. This is a story, but I'm not only getting what I read on the page, and I'm not only getting what I would see on the screen. I think the first moment that I was like, because I was thinking about like this kind of was prompted by a YouTube comment we got from mini commenter Sasha. Thank you, Sasha. But
hi, Sasha.
Sasha had commented on our Heaven Will Be Mine video, like kind of like, what do you even do really with a visual novel? And you know, it's one of those things, like I said, it's like you can go, well, this is a video game, but it's lacking, or you can go, well, this is a story I get to experience and it has this. And I think my major experience with this was at one point you enter the captain's quarters and it describes to you smells. And it's like, that is not something you get from video games that don't have a textual element of description, whether that's dialogue or whether that's literally in the visual novel, you reading it. Because you see the captain's quarters, you see it on screen, it's represented, but you also get that extra data about like what the air feels like, what it smells like. You're getting kind of the best of both worlds to me between text and visuals. So
I'm a visual novel pervert. We need to talk a little about the history of visual novels, which is it was an accessible way to tell a story on old computers. In Japan, at the time that visual novels really became a big thing, Akihabara was Electronic Town, which was nerds who were into computers, electronics, transistors. So they were putting together computer systems and doing text-based stories and things like that. And this is just a natural evolution of otaku culture intersecting with perverted computer culture. What I will say is it's not said enough, and I think we talked about this in Heaven Will Be Mine, but I don't recall. There is two kinds. There's kinetic novels and there's visual novels, which are also called dynamic novels. In a kinetic novel, a story is being told that you are reading. There might be choices, but they don't affect anything. Versus a visual novel like this, you have choices you can make that will affect the story. You won't get the full story just by clicking whatever option you want. In a kinetic novel, you're going to get the whole thing regardless of it. You get one playthrough. It's a straight line. The only thing that changes is some flavor. But the other thing I'll say is I often think about the difference between film and video game and how we interact with media and stories, because y'all know I'm a book hater. Reading's hard for me. I need images. And so I push back against that, but I do find value in some books because that's the only way I could ever see experiencing that story or having those feelings. And in the same way, like Horizon Zero Dawn's going to get a movie. it's not going to be the same as me playing that game. I'm never going to feel those same feelings in the same way that, like you said, when I fall into the captain's quarters and I read that I'm smelling something, I immediately know what this woman is. I put myself in the character so much more, which is really what visual novels do, is you are the main character explicitly. And this one does very good with that.
Yeah.
Structurally, too, it's like, you can have Heaven Will Be Mine, which like we said, like that one is dynamic in that like there are different endings, but for the most part, you're mostly just managing in what order you're going to experience things. There's no like Gundog has certain parts of the game where it actually will call on you to play a game. Like it's got hacking from BioShock in it. It's got a bunch of stuff. And then you'll have something like my go-to visual novel pull is the Ace Attorney games, because I've loved those games since I was in like middle school. And those are video game as video games sometimes. Like you are having to like actually engage with the subject matter in like a actual interactive sense. Your choices have consequences. Mm-hmm. You can lose a court case, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a little bit different. It will call on you to remember something. It will call on you to try to solve something, but losing or failing or like missing those things doesn't result in like a fail state.
Well, depending. There's some stuff we'll get to later with the O'Brien where some of your choices could be disastrous for you. Right,
but like I'm thinking of specifically in my playthrough, there was a moment where you had to remember a code that someone told you. And even if I could not remember it. I failed. I hard failed that.
I would never remember my girlfriend's. I would always remember my girlfriend's anniversary. To jot that down, I immediately committed it because that is our anniversary.
That is our anniversary.
I was like, I'm not gay enough. Like I'm comp head is happening to me. I'm not gonna remember this.
The game will blend itself into pretzels. Cassandra woke up for 1 second so she could whisper the code and then fell back into her coma. Wait, that's what happens if you hard fail it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's just what I wanted to like get Gundogs is situated in a very like, for the most part, it is a cool story with visuals and music and like just like a cool art style and some animations. But there will be moments where it's like, oh, I am also playing a video game.
A very forgiving video game. Which
a very forgiving video game.
Well, I think another thing we need to bring in here, Alice, you brought the history of like visual novels. This also definitely has point and click adventure game DNA in here.
Totally.
Oh, the use
it's really
button.
Great.
Okay.
The use button.
So the main game is through this cool view screen, first person, where you're in a room. You navigate by using doors. You have the view, you have the use, you have all the different buttons, and depending on the things you do, there's different context clues. I don't know if this happened to you, but I at one point had to repeat a dialogue because I didn't notice that the item button started flashing, and it didn't prompt me to take out the item or do anything. It let me go through the whole dialogue if I didn't press that and then finish the dialogue. I had to make the choice to open the item menu and use that item. And my character was like, I'm so smart.
It's really good. There are a lot of moments where like, if you use, like it gives you the freedom to just like make a call about how you want to use the tools that you have on hand in a way that is like just really, really good. I think the funniest moment for me of just like letting the player try to figure it out was the, when you have to crack the data pad of the doctor. Incredibly fucking funny bit.
This is where I revealed that so the first thing the game asks you to do is name your character or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This might be fairly obvious to someone with a brain, but like I didn't really think about it. I also had a deep memory fail moment. I wanted to name myself after the All You Need Is Kill lady. And I remembered Mad Margarita, and I remembered the bitch part of Full Metal Bitch. I could not pull Full Metal Bitch. So I named myself Mad Margarita Bitch. Now, the game, of course, because you're in the military, refers to you as rank last name. So I was Lieutenant Bitch through the entire run of this game. And I didn't really like... It's the geisha makeup at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3 all over again. I fucked up.
What did we all name ourselves? Alice, what'd you go with?
Alice.
Yeah, I also went with Nico, but real ones will know that Nico is short for Nicomedes, and so I just made my name Nico Space Medes, and so I was Lieutenant Medes throughout a lot of this in a way that was very funny.
I did last name Ray because I was really channeling Amuro Ray. Also, hey, woke bullshit. What are your pronouns?
No, I love that.
No, okay,
yeah.
You get your 3 options of pronouns, but it does change what your character looks like in a few of the cutscenes, and I love every one of the MC arts. Every one of them.
It's pretty good. Like, I don't know that I would have chosen blonde hair and blue eyes for myself, but it's very funny. There are so many scenes where your character is, like, so well drawn in a way that is like, oh, you look like a hero of like an anime. I really like the design.
The he him really channeling Char Aznable, and I don't think that that's by mistake.
How are we gonna have 2 Char Aznables? Because Hansen is giving Char Aznable energy as well, I feel. Of course, I don't know anything about him because you never let me do anything relevant with Gundam. So, can you relate this to a G-Savior character so that I get the reference?
Jack Halley.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I would say Hansen's more of a Jack Halley than a Char Aznable for as little differences there is there.
Let's talk about the art though, because like you said, this is pixel art, but like it's really good. It's really good pixel art. Like
perhaps little known fact. Not only is Jonathan Durham like doing some of the writing. He also like dabbled in the character design. He's also a visual artist. And so like he really kind of had his hands in everything. And then the other huge credit I should give is Kevin Butler. You can find him, you should follow him because like frankly, even the non-Gundog posting is just incredibly good. So he is KBUTZ Corner with a K. So KBUTZKORNER.bsky.social. If you want to look at cool pixel art, which I always want to look at cool pixel art, you should follow him. I mean, the game looks incredible, you guys.
It looks really good.
There's not anything that I could not find a single complaint. It will, and you know, some of the late game stuff, the way they decided to do some things, it blows me away. It came together so well.
It constantly throughout the game, I was just like, the choices they are making are so correct, and you can feel the iteration in design. Like there was one moment when I was like, they're not going to make me go all the way back through here. Nope. They were like, yeah, we're not going to make you do that. We hand wave this whole segment. You're now where you need to be. Like, we are past you clicking through the ship. You've proven you can do that.
It's very respectful of your time, but then that also is, there's a very good way that this game deals with you navigating the ship when there is nothing at stake and when there is something at stake, which I love. That comes
I have
up
notes
later,
about that too.
yeah.
It's really good. It's you know, my little pervert delight is talking about Mechs as spaces, and like the carrier as a space is like such a thing here.
Can we jump in to the intro of this, which is mecha as fuck?
Yeah, you are in a conflict between Jovian forces and forces on Mars. This is like an Earth. Okay, y'all had an idea of the conflict that was happening here, right? It was like Earth and Mars versus Jupiter versus the Jovian forces.
So it's the Earth-based Solar Federation is at war with the Earth Federation, legally distinct. Parentheses.
They're at it again.
They're at it again. Is at war with the joint forces of Jupiter and Mars. So it is Earthnoids versus Space Noids. This is, I mean, it's not even just Gundam. Like this is classic, like it's just straight sci-fi shit.
Yeah, I brought up Martian successor Nadesco. Like this is a major thing. You're on Earth's side in that one, but
what I liked about this is it's set up that there is a lot of story that we can have in this universe, because the groundwork they do of like, yeah, Mars just is better at war, and we just have to keep pace with them because we're going to win the war, but we want to be in a good spot. It's really like, you know, America and Russia rushing to get to Moscow, or sorry, to Berlin. at the end of the war, like, oh, we just have to be better postulated at the end of this. We need to be in a better spot.
So you're from Jupiter. You're the they them from Jupiter.
We living on the moons. We living on Europa.
So yeah, you are on a carrier. You are supposed to launch. You are supposed to go into your first sortie. You are fresh out of. I love that it emphasized like the only training you've really got is flight simulations. So you've had all this sim time, but you've never actually sortied. This is your first time actually piloting.
But it's fine because you're going to be behind lines. You're just a mop-up team. It's cadets being fielded away from the conflict. So there's really no danger. There's not as much of an urgency. It's just like, yeah, we're going to go to war. But I love how everybody in your squad looks like a fucking Voltron kid.
Yeah, they do. They do. But yeah, you're supposed to sortie, and as everyone is launching, your clamps don't release. Your mech can't move. You are trapped in the hangar. And so everyone in the Kalik squadron sorties except you. And due to some maneuvering that happens out on the battlefield, they are left like totally exposed, and they pretty much to a man get slaughtered.
Except for evil Torrin Smith, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
What I like about this is the mech of it all. You are just seeing the view screen of your mech, and it does the boot up sequence, and you get to watch.
Fucking sick.
And this is like that perfect level of that era of animation in video games where like the robot flies out and it's just like the one image just moving and you can see the scale going down and you're like, I can see where they were tracking the model and like when they were making this.
It looks good as hell.
But then they skip you in the launch sequence, so they send out 6 after you. You're 5. And this is when it's like, fuck yes, you see the arms go out and drop him. He does the fly off screen and then they use the save animation. But so good. So mecha.
It's really good. And this view is something you will return to throughout the rest of the game in a way that is very cool.
This is your trauma moment.
Yeah. They do picture in picture. So you get your like, I love how they do the audio comms at the different points of this game. Depending on what your comm device is, it will be different. Dommy Mommy Pilot can't save everybody though. So squad gets wiped. So sad. So you get they're like, we have to reboot your computer while we try and do diagnostics, which is like, whatever. But you're like, you suddenly hear them dying. So you see the boot screen only as your friends are dying.
It's really good. I forget what recently I was thinking of. Oh, no. I think this was actually on our Fallout Power Armor special. I talked about the specific mech thing of being in a mech that is unpowered and being trapped inside it like a coffin. Because I talk about that because at one point Maximus is trapped in the power armor and it has no power cell
the
in
Fallout
it.
show.
And he's stuck in it, right?
Yeah.
And like you get this moment here.
That's a great pull. This is the same thing. Yeah.
And like there have been a couple other pieces of media that we've consumed and talked about where they get stuck in an unpowered or an otherwise non-functional suit. Actually, recently on Newsom's Daily Life of a Robot Girl, there's a moment where they're stuck in an unpowered suit and it becomes a factor. Like, you get this feeling of being in a machine that should give you, like, exceptional power and strength, and it's not functioning, so it is just a thing that has you trapped. And it's just really cool during this opening sequence.
Another thing that they do here that's very Mechs, very sci-fi, is as you're waiting in there originally, the engineer hits the outside and your pilot freaks because you're in Atmo in the cockpit. So you can have the sound vibrations, which is really good. And then when you're trying to call for them to just release you, just blow the hinges, you're hitting the inside, your character's hitting the inside of the cockpit, but they're in no Atmo. There's no sound coming out. They'll never hear you. It's so good.
Space.
Space.
It's really good. And this is another place. So this is so great. This is another place where the visual novel medium is triumphing, because one of the things that the text is doing, it's describing what your character is doing as you are scared out of your mind about to launch. The way you're gripping the controls and everything. This is a tool that will help us later, because later when you're in the cockpit with Hansen, he is doing very similar stuff. And to me, other than like the obvious kind of indicators, that was like one of the strongest indicators that it's like, yeah, this guy has PTSD. We have gone through very similar things. It's that shared body language that's described to you via the text alongside the visuals you're getting. And it's just, again, visual novels can do really cool stuff that just like other formats can't.
These we should talk about the mechs because it's mostly the same mech we're gonna see. This is called the Juno.
I love the GM. I love the Nemo.
Yeah, so it's like what if the GM and the Dom Trooper had a baby?
Congratulations to them.
This is one of the only khaki mechs I'll ever say I truly love with all my heart because I just think it's just this made me understand Alice's love of the generic mech, I think.
I love that this is the best part of the generic mass-produced mech is like the fact it's just there. It's just a guy. We all know what it is. We've seen it. It's our standard issue guy. I love that you just see it and it's just a part of whatever. The shout out in the design that I do love is it has the Space Leo maneuvering backpack, the big gas tank with the directionals on it. I just think that that's neat.
Yeah, I like the genericness of it because it means any any armored frame that your character comes across is going to prompt those memories of what happened with Kalik. And I love that. I love that the genericness is both, it makes sense, but also it immediately allows the armored frame and like the payoff at the end of this game, not to really spoil it. Like there are so many moments where the fact that these machines are basically interchangeable is honestly what makes them like menacing and like a sight of fear, but also power, which is really cool.
Totally. So yeah, you get traumatized.
You get traumatized, you go through this, but years on, you have a fairly successful career as a security officer on ships. Except that your girlfriend pulls some strings to get you transferred to the island of misfit toys. Oh, let's talk about the crew of the Gundog.
Should we go through the characters? The characters bouncing off of each other is truly the joy at the center of this game, I think.
So first off, we have the Gundog, which is named after one of the greatest mechs ever made, the Gundog. I love the Gundog as a ship. It's a compact ship with giant engines because it is a skiff boat, and it is just meant to go fast and find things. It's a patrol craft. I love it.
Yeah, is it a Shrike that they call it, or it's named after some kind of bird?
It's
a Swift.
Oh, a Swift boat. Swift craft.
Swift class.
Swift class. All the same, different words, different militaries. Love it. It has amazing point defense weapons. It has a cannon that can take down a Martian dreadnought, which they just drop at one point, which is really cool. But
otherwise, it's a little ship strapped to two huge fucking engines.
It looks so cool.
They speak because it's so small. The human crew is smaller than most ships, and most things are handled by the onboard AI. This will come up later.
Yeah, I think is there 10 crew? Maybe less.
2 engineers, 2 pilots, 2 operators, the captain, you, the security officer. Who am I missing?
Cassie's
an operator. Gunner.
Oh, Gunner. Yeah, not Dalton, but Dylan. Yeah. So like about 10 people on this ship, and it's really great. That works really well because, I mean, we've talked about sci-fi stuff where there's a ship and it takes hundreds of people to pilot it. I think any kind of mecha thing is better when you have a tight crew of just like a certain number of people, but they're not all just mecha pilots. I love it. You've got the doctor as well.
The doctor.
Forgot about that freak.
You've got just the bare minimum that you need to function, and it's really great. And at first it makes your job seem really superfluous. Bring
us down the list, Brian.
Who you have to wharf. We got, so actually I'm gonna hand it off to you because I'm okay here just to get in front of it. Cassandra Quinn does not really hit for me.
That's real.
I meet a woman later that captures my heart, but
so we have Cassie. She's the first one you meet. My first note is she's clearly in love with you, and then you find out no, you've actually been dating for like 3 years or whatever. So never mind on that one. But
I love that twist. It's 2 years. Thank you. I would never forget that I've been dating my wife for 2 years. So Cassie is a great character. She is a very smart operations officer. She is the number 2 on the ship. She is here because she, on her last ship, was updating codes for the central computer that only operations and the commander can get to. And all she did was change the numbers by 1 digit. And in a war game exercise, that was brute forced so quickly that she had to be reassigned.
It's very funny. Everyone on this ship has a reason that they are stuck here.
And yours is Cassie.
I love it.
And 9 times out of 10,
yours
it's
is
I'm
Cassie.
autistic and the military is mean.
Yeah, but in this specific case, it's because you have a cringe girlfriend.
Yeah, she's very girl failure who is hyper competent when she needs to be, but she is really just doing whatever she wants to do. She evokes that manic pixie dream girl vibe.
Yeah, and to be clear, like I don't like dislike her or anything. She's just like the plucky girl is never really gonna be like my favorite.
Yeah.
In a crew of all banger characters, she's just the least banger. Is like my opinion.
I do like this as a framing device, though, because if this was a game where you're being introduced to a crew of all strangers and you kind of have to pick your fave, there's not really an incentive for people other than Alice, who loves the standing man emoji, and Cassie is the standing man emoji of waifus. This is my dark sentence that I've just said.
You know?
We all have to sit in that
like you
together.
said, in a crew of all bangers, I would not have picked her. But the moment I found out, like, she is my girlfriend, we have gone to the Ferris wheel. We have done
done the lesbians.
It activated for me the butch chivalry shit. So, like, the whole rest of this game is based on a sense of chivalry where it's like, I wouldn't pick this girl, but she is my girlfriend, and thus I will defend her. I will
protect her. Yeah. Next up, we have my wife. This is going to be my favorite because I like bad women who are wrong and have problems. We have Captain Maris Bartermuse.
Yeah.
Oh, she's serving real female Xeon cunt right now.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Her hair is so voluminous. She is wearing the best skirt. She is doing the I'm wearing my jacket over my shoulders hot bitch vibe.
The military bomber over the shoulders is so iconic.
She's so hot. It's insane.
Because it's very important on how you meet this character. Did you guys go on the tour, or did you report directly to the captain?
No, I went on the tour. I was a good security officer.
I went on the tour, but I checked in at the bridge, like, second stop.
Did she still give you shit for wandering, or did you get the pass because you came fast enough?
I got the pass.
Sorry. No, I did do I did the tour. I think I did the tour and I started with the bridge, if that's possible. Because I feel like
you can.
Okay.
She tells you to go, and you can just go right up. I went through the entire ship before I met her. The shade this woman threw at me was iconic.
This is why you need to watch Star Trek, because if Picard said Worf to the bridge and Worf was doing anything else, the bridge is the priority in any situation, basically.
I'm such a bad security officer.
You're such a bad security officer. So that's what my instinct. Okay, I just love Worf, and so anytime a decision came up that regarded security, I said WWWD. What would Worf do?
That's real. That's real. That's real.
I love that.
Meanwhile, I was operating under, if Cassie asked me to go into a time loop of dying a million times to relive all of my memories of her, so that people can extrapolate that information, I would do it for her, no questions asked.
I might have a few questions.
Then we have my other wife, because again, I love women who are bad and wrong and have problems.
She's never wrong.
We have Bridge Ops Commander Vanessa Lord.
Oh God, I hate this woman. I know the game wants you to hate her, but
so she's the black rim glasses, pushes up. Here's one thing. My only note I wrote about her is she clicks her tongue. She does the and the audio drop for it, I swear there's more than one that they use at different times.
No, it's all over the place, and the screen rattles a little bit when she does it too. It fucking rules.
So good.
I have one more note about Captain Bartermuse, which is that was an April Fool's Day gag. As a gag on Blue Sky, Space Colony posted a bunch of shots from a Gundog Academy Captain Bartermuse dating sim that was not like super real at the time, but John was also really cagey when I confronted him about it at the interview. So I'm holding out hope that I get to date Captain Barnaby's at the Academy.
This is my drop-in. This is a great drop-in. I really want to know, John, I'll at you later, but I felt a lot of inspiration from the Sunrider series, which is about mechs in space, and it's this visual novel from like a decade ago, but it had multiple installations, including a school AU one where you were all just in school pre-war together dating. That's it.
Anyway, yeah, Vanessa is really bad. We'll talk about it.
She's the woman who sucks, but
she's the woman who
can we since we've done the three ladies who wear skirts, I do want to talk about the military uniforms in this.
Okay.
I love the design. They're
olive drab.
They're very olive drab. They're very simple. They very much evoke a Top Gun to me that I really appreciate. However, the two ops officers have little chains that go from their shoulder to their collar. And I don't know if you all noticed this, but they're giant pearls in the string of moons around Jupiter. It's the same number as the moons on the main moons.
Oh, cool.
And because of the environment on the moons of Jupiter, you can get pearls out there so easily and cheaply. And I thought that, like, the thought of what would a Jovian space uniform look like, I assume that the thought that went into that was great, or I'm putting so much on this that wasn't there.
This is why you got to cut. Y'all don't got an Alice on your fucking Mecha podcasts talking about pearls.
You don't.
Hello, I'm here to
all
bring.
of us sit here and don't make the pearl necklace joke pointedly. Anyway, we gotta move with a certain swiftness.
We gotta swift craft through this. Let's go.
We have Lieutenant Rumney, who my note on Rumney is they them. Leather Daddy.
I love them in the latest Pokemon game.
So there's a note. I don't know if it's like I can't remember now. I might have it in my notes later. And if I do, I'll bring it up again. But you can find a note that implies that Rumney has tested positive for being a new type.
Yeah, it's in the doctor's notepad.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
Horror Rumney is potentially a new type, is definitely a top, which I love. That just comes up later.
First interaction, they are asking you to come to bed with them. And I said, yes, please.
Non-binary Casanova out here, who is also like topping your adversary.
When they flirted
topping your adversary.
Because you are not the only person from Kalik to have survived. You survived because your AF didn't launch. Kalik 3, who is Hansen. God, what's his first name? It's like...
his first name is Hansen. His last name is Cruise. I don't know how to say it.
It's you know what? It's Welsh. And shout out to Wales, but I don't know how to say it. But Hansen is your adversary. He was Kalik 3, and he managed to survive the bloodbath out there. And he thinks that you are a coward, and he will call you a coward to your face and just throw what happened, with the Kalik Squadron in your face over and over and over.
I got a pronunciation of Cruis. Give me 1 second. Cruis.
Okay. So Hansen Cruis, he just throws this back in your face over and over, and it's very much a situation throughout the game. You can decide how you want to deal with this like rivalry / trauma issue.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that dynamic, and it becomes important.
Some might say this whole game is dealing with the trauma of that first event, but
yeah. But this is where, when he throws this in your face, the screen fades out and you get the shots from when you were trapped in Kalik 5, or you're Kalik 5. When you were trapped in Kalik 5 again, like, it's really good.
Yeah, he does. I should say he does get his whole redemption arc, but for most of this game, I have definitely referred to him as evil Torrance Smith. He looks like Torrance Smith Gunbuster, but with like a badass leather jacket and like a really bad attitude.
I just called him Iceman because this is just Iceman from Top Gun. This is Val Kilmer. Hello, Val Kilmer. Welcome back.
died
2025. Yeah, died 2025.
2025. Welcome back, Val Kilmer.
He does great. He does exactly what I need this character to do in this story.
Mm-hmm. We have the gunner, Dylan. Now,
fucking dork.
What's his last name? Because in my notes I have a specific thing, and I'm not.
Dylan D's.
Okay,
D's
so,
guns.
Yeah, because my name. So I color code my notes. So blue is a note with a new character name in it. And all this says is his name is Dylan D's nuts, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. And I was like, that can't be right. That can't be right.
Correct.
Dylan D's nuts.
Yeah, no, Dylan sits in fire control, which is just like a whole bunch of screens and some gamer setups, some Corsair RGB keyboards and stuff.
And listens to tapes.
Yeah, he listens
Constantly.
to cassettes. Yeah, this would be me on this ship. Just FYI, this is me. I'm in fire control. I'm looking at all the screens. I am listening to my albums.
What do you think he's listening to? Like, what is the pull? Like, I know you get like the little of his music, but like, what is the?
Well,
what do we think he's listening
to? If you choose to have the extra conversations with him, you do talk about music more. He seems to be a punk or rock guy.
So
and
what
honestly,
is the what is the real world equivalent?
This inspiration. He I feel like he's listening to both like Dead Kennedys, but also Springsteen. Like that's the vibe I get from this character.
He's got Sex Pistols energy to me.
I was thinking Ramones. I was thinking Sex Pistols. Yeah.
He's in those spaces, but I could also see him listening to a Springsteen every once in a while.
But I think he most fits in with getting a fucking swirly because he looks like a fucking loser.
He's listening to Chumbawamba.
Yeah, he's got his huge fucking cans. He specifically starts to time his playlists so that when your regular like ship tour survey, security sweep happens, his album naturally stops so that he can talk to you without interrupting the jam sesh. So good. He is me. I am him. He's
I
me
keep
for
forgetting
real.
character notes. Just one more thing on Hanson. I didn't see this. My note on him actually says he looks like evil greaser Shar Aznable. Just to also pull that. If you don't listen to Just King Things, you should. The evil greaser pull is so accurate.
Yeah. So there's Dylan. Do we want to talk about engineering? Oh, everyone shut the fuck up. It's time for me to do 5 on the chief.
So it depends on the order you do things. I actually met Grange before I met the chief, but we can talk about the chief first.
No, let's go in order of my family. A lot of people talk about found family. They don't necessarily talk about how the fact that sometimes you have a lame-ass girlfriend and then you meet your son and your wife. So first of all, we meet my son, Dalton Grange. He's a cadet. He is your second engineering officer. He's the more junior engineering officer. He has a little science project that he's doing. He's inventing the goo gun from Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
He is, if you look up feckless in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of this guy.
It'll be going,
Welcome back.
Big emote.
Welcome back, Otacon.
Yes.
Welcome back,
my God,
Otacon.
he has baby Otacon energy.
He's definitely got the frame of him doing like the surprise thing
They
is
use it so
absolutely an Ace Attorney. Like you just confronted their lie on the witness stand pose.
Moments
it's
when
so good.
I completely agree with what my character is doing in the game. Every time you come across him, you yell cadet at him and he freaks the fuck out.
Maybe you do. Some of us tenderly cradled him. Okay? Some of us parented that child.
If you don't follow us on Blue Sky, you should, because we posted a picture of that Iris drew of Bato holding Togusa like a little fucked up stuffed animal. That's Nico with Grange, yeah.
No, I immediately went, that's my son, that's my boy, that's my sweet cheese, my rotten soldier.
Who's raising him at home while you're out at the war?
Me, because my wife has a more important job than I do. My wife is the chief. Extremely large woman spotted.
Extremely huge.
She has freckles.
You enter engineering and you get jump scared because in your walls, more than anyone, more than even say the character later who we have to worry about being in our walls, the chief is in your walls. Very large woman constantly pops up around the ship to startle people. Extremely loud, commanding voice. The chief is Chief Carwiz, I think?
Mackenzie Cathays.
Cathays, that's what it was. You never call her Mackenzie Cathays. That is
You
the
call
chief.
her chief.
Yeah. That is
you
the
call
chief.
her chief. She's
Whammon.
everything. I want her to hit me with her wrench. Sorry, Spanner. This is Welsh.
She's huge. She's beautiful.
And to be
she
clear,
is in charge of these
super
engines.
smart. Actually understands the quantum physics behind the drive. We don't have faster than light. We just have faster.
She understands all of the quantum physics, and she is so pissed off that you don't.
Yeah, she's a quadruple threat, okay? She's hot, she is stacked, absolutely stacked, she is strong, she is extremely smart, and she's in your walls. I love her. Like, I'm obsessed with the chief. The moment I met her, I was like, it's probably for the best that they assigned Cassie to be your girlfriend, or else I would just like be haunting engineering. My chivalry held me back from haunting engineering as much as like me as a person wanted to go see that big beefy pixel spray.
We have one more blurbo from our shows. Dr. Cypher Rosarium.
Freak.
This is an Ace Attorney character.
This is an Ace Attorney character. It's also like a fucking. He's somehow an Ace Attorney character, a Star Trek doctor, and also a Final Fantasy character.
All in one. All wrapped up.
All in one.
He's the triple threat. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so in the order of people I came across, I had only met women so far, and I was like, "Is this one of those?" And then I came across the doc, and I was like.
For a moment, I did think she was a hot older woman, like a really butch hot older woman. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
This is just a robot man.
Just a robot man. The disrespect.
Misandry.
But yeah, that's our crew.
That's our crew.
We know from the jump, every one of them is a fuck up in some way. And throughout the game, you will find out kind of what their deal is. Some of them set their password to password. Some of them just break experimental armored frames for fun.
But his emails.
Some of us are alcoholics.
Yeah, some of us are alcoholics, but some of us just got transferred because we have a failed girlfriend.
And some of us are Lala soon and have headaches that make us pass out at critical moments, you know?
Yeah, so, yeah. From the jump on the gun dog, you are made aware, whether you start in fire control or you start in engineering, you're made aware that you're having a communications issue. Your long-range communication has got crazy static on it, and you are traveling to rendezvous with the JCF O'Brien, which, again, the moment I read that, I went, sure hope nothing happens to this ship.
I just immediately put in parentheses, R.I.P.
R.I.P. You know, you think you see the JFS O'Brien and you think, oh, that's nice. I wonder if that's a reference to Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek The Next Generation. And then the first communication you get,
2.
No, not Die Hard 2, because the first communication you get is from JFS O'Brien Lieutenant Bashir.
Bashir, yep, I knew it. The moment they said Lieutenant Bashir was here, it's like, oh, you're a little DS9 girly, aren't you?
The amount of pulls this game makes that, like, if you know, you know.
Chief Engineer DeForge. It's really good.
Need a webpage with all the references.
No, the reason I brought up Die Hard 2 is because Cole Meany, who plays O'Brien, is in Die Hard 2 Just to Die.
Oh.
But, yeah, you're going to rendezvous with the O'Brien, and alongside this issue of this interference, as you get closer, your ship is struck by this signal. It's extremely loud. You're on the bridge when it happens with your GF, and the captain's nowhere to be seen. She's indisposed. We'll find out what that means later. And the signal hits, and your girlfriend, like Alice said, I don't know who Lala Soon is. Could you put that in the context of a G-Savior character? But
the guppy
she is clearly affected. She's not the guppy.
The Brian's expression when I said the guppy as the bowl.
Brian had a face journey.
I was like, because I was like thinking about it so seriously. I was like, what's her name? Priscilla or something?
No, because there's no new types in G-Savior.
No, I know. That's what I was thinking. Like,
no
it's not her. It's not the love interest. So like, there's no pull.
Be the guppy.
It's gotta be the guppy.
By process of elimination.
By process of elimination.
Anyway, because the captain's indisposed and she's the XO, we all know how military procedure works. She is the one with the codes to arm the nukes. I mean, the codes to get in the supercomputer.
And, yeah, she gets taken out by this signal. She goes, ah!
Ow, my head, I have a migraine. And
wait, I forgot. There's a piece of characterization that will help us later about this character that I think Alice could really relate to. And it's gastrointestinal distress. Brian just took a sip of water. I almost killed Brian on the pod.
Fucking god damn it.
I forgot about I forgot about Cassie's dumping syndrome.
Your beautiful IBS survivor girlfriend. She can't process the onboard food. She has to rely on NutriShakes. And that is your first signal. Much like veganism and Alice, that was my first signal that something is wrong with this character.
Jesus Christ.
But second signal is when she gets taken out by the signal.
So at this point, you're thinking, oh, the crew of the O'Brien probably got owned. And you're right.
When this signal comes through, all the power is knocked out on your ship. And you get to make a number of cool decisions as you absolutely get to be the coolest security officer in the world. And you have to do an EVA to turn the ship back on. This game is good, y'all. Just play this game. Again,
just play this game. It's so good.
Podcast. We'll wait 6 hours.
So something
go play the game.
I do want to say sci-fi of it all. I love the functional space of the O'Brien, like the using the walls, but they're actually just like access panels. It's like, well, yeah, it's a ship. There's a certain amount of space, and in space, like the fact that they establish that how the airlocks work is there's 2 different airlocks, one for launching the 2 GMs and the actual airlock, but the housing block, all of the walls are so thin that if you were to depressurize that, it would depressurize the whole like living quarters of the ship. I just enjoy that. I really like how they thought that out.
Yeah, the first half of the game when you're on the Gundog is getting this power turned back on, and about navigating this situation where no one is in command and you are having to do this. And then as you finally make your rendezvous with the O'Brien, you realize that their ship has been incapacitated in a similar way. And since it doesn't seem like they had a security officer to pull off some heroics, they're probably all dead.
Well, you see that one of the outside hatches is open. You're like, maybe they did. No. Then the inside door was open.
Maybe they just locked themselves in the mess hall.
Horrifying.
Haunted spaceship.
So this
haunted
is really
spaceship
good.
moment.
I really like the haunted spaceship, mostly because military procedure. Let's talk about it. The fact is like, as part of making sure that they are doing their due diligence as members of the Navy, you have to go and knock on every door and see if you can hear a knock back to see if anybody survived that you can save.
Thunk, thunk, thunk. That's knocking.
Rewind real quick, y'all. Did elevator situation with Hansen. Did anyone leave Hansen in the elevator during the blackout?
Oh no, I saved him. I was a little goody two-shoes bitch.
I saved him.
Because earlier in the game, I had held back up until he insulted my wife, and that's when I punched him, and wife was mad at that, and so I was like, well, Cassie wouldn't want me to leave him in there. So I was fully playing dirtbag pilot who is on a redemption arc at this point. That was my choice to play.
Sorry, we skipped the mecha moment, which is that you're here because you came here in a Juno with Hansen as Mavs.
That's what I was getting to, right? So the thing where Hansen is trapped in an elevator during the blackout on the Gundog, and you can get him out. And depending on what you do here is like the beginning of your arc with Hansen. And a major part of it is that to get from the Gundog to the O'Brien to do these checks to find out what happened, you have to get in an armored frame again for the first time since Khalik.
Because the ship can't boot fast enough to fly that way, and air in space is a very big problem.
Yeah. So you have to get in an AF, but you have to get in an AF with Hansen. You are the second seat in and Hansen is going to be your pilot. And so I really liked, I mean, I haven't explored being a total dick to Hansen. I haven't explored, like, I want to do some more playthroughs. But in my game, I decided to go with I read the folder in Captain Bartermew's desk, and I never brought it up. That was the kind of character I was playing. I was playing a character who knew that there were things I could be very upset about, but who purposefully was, like, very stoic and in control.
See, here's what I'll say. I do love hearing your guys' playthrough things, because, number one, my first playthrough, I didn't read that. I didn't read the doctor's thing. I was like, confidentiality is important. I wouldn't want them to know. Just like I don't want to know about my girlfriend's IBS. Yeah.
You can't help but know about your girlfriend's IBS. We do need to talk about,
so you're getting there in the Juno. Can we talk about the Juno's fucked up second seat?
You got a little jump seat.
But I love it. It's like no jump seat I've ever seen before. I'm obsessed with this.
I don't quite understand how the space works, but I like the way that it situates you to have the it is a physicalized space that was designed so that you can have that awkward moment where you're in a road trip with someone you don't know very well and you fall asleep and you have like that embarrassing moment when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I've been asleep. And I've been the compromised position of having been asleep in a car seat, which is the ugliest way to sleep in front of someone I don't know that well or don't like that much, because you do fall asleep during this trip.
It's also simulator of riding passenger seat in a car with someone who does not drive in a way that you find safe.
Yes.
It's really good.
But the best part has to be being in an enclosed space with somebody that you think you have beef with, but you're not sure if they're just joking and you want to make sure if you can clear the air. The awkward conversation in this fucking Juno, best scene in the entire fucking game.
It's so good. You're stuck in a cockpit with somebody for 30. You want to talk about certain inevitable geometries? The absolute reverse of that is certain inevitable conversation trees. Like, it's a really good sequence. But yes, you get over there and you split up because
this shit rules so hard.
Hanson's job is to pull the black box out of the bridge for the O'Brien. Find out what happened. Your job is to check for any survivors.
We find on the bridge, not good odds.
Oh yeah, there's a dead person on the bridge, isn't there?
There's two dead people on the bridge, and the doctor are all dead.
I never checked the bridge because I knew Hanson was.
You didn't go and talk to Hanson? It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun to talk to Hanson on the bridge.
Captain's dead, and the person you talked to on comms both got.
Oh, Bashir is dead.
They both got gassed.
R.I.P. Bashir.
It's weird because they didn't die from lack of air, because that's very easy to pick out in space. What did they die from, guys?
I don't know. I didn't go there.
The blaster fire. No, like you can. So I mean, the ship's totally dead. The power's all off. The hallways are all dark. My favorite thing about this is, like up to this point, there have been a couple moments, whether it be Crisis, whether it be the tour, whether it just be like you have to find this person to talk to, where you've had to navigate the gun dog, like using the map and like knowing where you're going and everything. Now you have to do the same thing because the O'Brien is the same type of ship.
It's such a sell-off for it to be the same ship. I knew exactly where to go. But you can't pull up the map because they give you a quick map, but you can't use it on the O'Brien.
Yeah, so you have to like kind of navigate manually through the O'Brien. It's dark. There are a couple of moments where you can run into like a horrifying Borg alien that will run away as soon as you walk up to it. It rules. I love Haunted Spaceship. Just another DS9 reference. There's a DS9 episode where they go to another space station that's exactly like DS9, but it's like derelict and abandoned and incredibly haunted because at this point in DS9, we actually have ghosts, like for real.
Oh, cool.
Anyway,
love ghosts.
It's literally the same sets as the normal show, but they just like made them haunted and scary, and it just rules. This hits every time.
Me when I make my set haunted and scary.
Hi, Samara.
Hi, Sam.
Samara has joined the pod because she was yelling. So I love this sequence. You go throughout the ship. You have so a device that has helped you up to this point is the PST. This is the portable sub terminal. It's how you're cracking doors. You have to get your key card, but it's how you can crack doors.
It's so analog cassette futurism. It's this chunky fucking thing you have to lug around just to open doors. It fucking rules.
It's really great. I love it. I want one. I'm gonna build one.
Got your cyber deck.
Yeah. But so you're having to cruise around to get that. And so objective 1, you've got to get a key card. For me, like I said, I didn't go to the bridge. So I went to the sick bay and I found the doctor's body. And you find a bunch of evidence down there, including the fact that somebody has eaten all the NutriShake. And I immediately went, oh my God, my girlfriend is an alien.
Really? I did not see this coming at all. Like this fucked me up. I did not catch the relationship between those things like in the slightest. But also it was mostly because I didn't care that much about Cassandra, I guess.
I cared so deeply.
You were paying attention to her IBS.
Yeah, so I mean this leads to like this is where this game popped the fuck off for me, because you eventually get into the hangar. And what happens in the hangar is like
There's a fucking bug in here.
There's a fucking bug in here. You get your first like full animation, which is the big machine crawling up onto the gantry in front of you. It looks amazing.
It's fantastic.
The shit fucking owns.
So everyone tried to communicate, right?
Yeah.
My character is a practical
I'm out of
person.
there.
I jumped out of the way immediately.
Yeah. This is when they introduce a timed mechanic to your choices. Because previously, up to this point, you could make choices in the course of the visual novel.
got QTE.
Now there's a timer. You got to move. You got to make choices fast. And it's really great that they introduced
This game
it.
scales in like what it's training you to do, and it does it so just in a good order.
It's
it never
so
feels
coherent
like
and
you're-
deliberate. Yeah.
You're never surprised at the mechanic it's asking you to do. Like with the PST, like if you follow along at any level, you do not have to be smart to be like, oh, Cassie's card will work to get into the central computer on my ship. Oh, my cards won't work here. I need somebody with Cassie's level to get in. That kind of thing. Like it does that in a fun way.
Signalis keycard drama.
So this little fucked up mech, let's talk about her.
Let's talk about it. It's like okay, I've been thinking about something recently, which is that on this show, like I have my thematic sensibilities about mechs, but I've never really been super clear on like what visually I can say I will like every time in a mech, like consistently. And I hate bugs. Like I dislike I dislike small limbs. I dislike translucent wings.
Listeners will know.
Like as a bug. But I kind of really like bug aspects on a mech. Like the shapes in general. So this thing is like a big bug. To me it evokes Big Zam.
To me it evokes like a stag beetle, something with a carapace on it. It has that kind of tactile.
It's very
War of the Worlds-esque, if I'm being honest.
War of the Worlds-esque is good because I was gonna say it just doesn't look up to this point. And this is something that like I think this does really well too. Is like up to this point, all of the technology has looked a very specific way. Like we just said, it's like cassette futurism. There's clunky like boxy shapes on everything.
Most things are khaki or gray.
This thing is like navy, like cobalt navy blue, and like curved and sculpted in this like crazy way. And it chases you through the O'Brien while firing fucking lasers through it.
This is amazing, the way this is drawn. So by the way, up until this point, only ballistic weapons. The Jovians only have ballistic weapons. We have not established in this universe anything doing with lasers. And this shit just tears through this armor in this beautiful way. It
was giving me real Mass Effect 2 when the collectors fire on your ship and just start tearing holes through it energy. Like, yeah, I was loving it.
So you have to escape, and you get to the Juno first in this. But before we get there, who do we run into? Wait, is this when we run into our alien girl, or is that back on the ship?
We've run into her. You run into her a couple times when you're exploring.
When does she do the pop, though? Is that
the
now?
Pop?
Where she, like, reveals herself to be a clone of...
Oh, no, that's at the end, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I even saw that.
Cut that. So, you get to the Juno, and you're like, I gotta leave, but Hansen's not here. And it does
Did you guys wait for him?
Of course.
Yeah, I waited.
We're bros. He's
me,
my Iceman.
For me, it was less about how he was a bro and how I wanted to... Because the thing about what happened to you at the beginning, right, is that... logistically, realistically, it was not your fault. Like, there's nothing you could have done. But like you, at least, especially in Hansen's eyes, like it was an act of cowardice on your part. And so for me, it was mostly out of spite to be like, no, I can stand still because I want to, and not because there's a fight happening I can't do anything about.
That's good energy.
Like, I can say this. I'm not actually scared of the child. And the way it does it, you see the laser cutting through this ship, getting closer to you.
It's really good. Okay, here's an important thing. Did y'all help Dalton with his homework earlier? Did you help your beautiful son?
I feel like I did. I basically did everything that felt like it was like the good thing to do. I didn't do anything petty or wrong or bad.
Yeah, me as a person. No. So an important tool that will help us later. We mentioned Dalton has been working on the goo from Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. If you help him out by covering for him with some engineering tasks, he can finish like 2 clips of ammunition loaded with the compound. That becomes important because as you and Hansen are speeding back to the gun dog, this freak mech is speeding ahead of you to go fuck up the gun dog.
It can go faster.
It can go faster, and you end up in a fight with it where Dylan in fire control obviously is not able to keep up with this thing.
Yeah, the point of it, there's this cool scene, very mech, of it circling the gun dog and all the point defense weapons trying to pick it, and they just can't.
This is the animation loop I watched approximately 10,000 times. It looks fucking really amazing.
It looks incredible. So it's circling the gun dog, it's drawing fire, but Dylan can't get a beat on it. And you know, Hansen proves to be an incredibly good pilot. Now, is he piloting like a mech pilot in the sense of anyone in the car with you is definitely getting whiplash? Yes. You literally suffer from whiplash. But he is piloting for like a motherfucker. And like the most important thing you can do, honestly, there are a couple of chances for you to like interfere almost. And if you don't interfere, he performs as a better pilot, which is really cool. It asks the player to not be a goody two-shoes in the interests of like letting the man work. And it's really good. And you end up in the situation where you're like, Dalton, space them fucking clips. We have got to goo this motherfucker. Or did y'all try to hit it with different weapons or anything?
So for me, what happened was I had to pin it in place while the gun dog's main cannon fired.
That's the first route I went through as well, was the pinning and then using the goo later for
So
containment.
maybe I didn't help. Maybe I didn't realize you could help Dalton with his
you can
homework
help
or whatever.
him more. So you can do the can you cover for me with the chief, which will get you the goo at the end to control it.
Okay, I did do that.
But to get the clips, you have to do an additional scene with Dalton. So again, why there's little variables like that.
I was parenting. Yeah. I was parenting at all times. I was mothering.
I will say, like, I'm glad that exists. I'm really happy I got the main cannon, because that's another animation that fucking rules, where you in the Juno are like have it in like a headlock kind of, and you're just drifting in front of the gun dog's main gun, and you just have to like time it exactly. Hansen, this is his redemption. Like, he is so competent here. Everything he does is perfect.
It's very clear that you two were on divergent paths. Like, you both got traumatized by the Khalik sortie experience. He got traumatized and leaned into becoming a mech show protagonist. And you got traumatized and decided to, like, just pick a different career, which I think is advice we have offered many mech pilots. Just retire, like choose a different career. You actually did. And like, I really like that divergence here. And then later when it comes up when you're piloting an AF.
And then, this might be a question. Did the mutiny happen for you guys? Or is that an optional thing?
Mutiny always, I think.
Vanessa Lord has been dropping hints the whole time that she wants to mutiny.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing
the research. Feeling you out.
She's looking up the military bylaws. She has found the codes that we can use to unlock disposing the two people above you so that you can make sure that the ship is safe and can return and we can deal with this all back on Europa. Honestly, guys, kind of agree with her. Up until the treason part.
Yeah. Lord mutinies. She's like, the captain was indisposed. Cassie was indisposed. They're either in cahoots or totally incompetent. I am the captain now. Look at me. I am the captain now.
Yeah, like in Cassie's defense, what happened was definitely not Cassie's fault. For as much as I love Bartomeu, like she sucks. Like, this is her fault. She fucked up really bad.
I mean, to be fair, you're on the fail ship for cringe losers where you don't have much to do. There's a line that gets dropped later about the return trip to Jupiter where like nothing happens and it's totally normal. I feel like the captain was like, we are on a depression cruise. I'm going to get wasted. And then a plot happens.
Starship captain in Star Trek, if you're a captain and you're doing shit like drinking on the job, that's the episode where Janeway gets to fucking blow you up. You fucked up so bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's just true.
Also, typically, you get when the EXO takes command, the third in line would then be second in command to them. So the transfer of... Look, the Jovians need to work on their knowledge transfer.
They need to work on their power structure.
You know,
the
fact that you can have two people out and we're fucked, that's not good.
That's really not how you want it.
You have to have a backup.
There are a couple things like this where like you as a security officer during the blackout will note that like there's such a reliance on specific systems always working that it's like some people didn't consider what would happen if you didn't have a backup, which I think is interesting. We talked about like Jupiter is just trying to keep pace with Mars. I feel like there are a bunch of places in being part of the Gundog where you really feel the gap between you and a more competent military.
Mm-hmm.
It feels scrappy.
As the Star Trek correspondent, I have to bring up TNG again. This is such a plot point for me because there's an episode of TNG where Deanna decides to take crisis training because of this, right? If Picard, Riker, and Data and Worf are all indisposed for some reason, command of the bridge would theoretically fall to her. And so she has to go through training to like the point of the episode is she has to get up the balls to send an ensign to his death in order to save the ship in a fake crisis situation. I just think they were aware of the fact that like this is a failing in the Jovian military. I think that depending on your ending, this might like kind of come back in the end because like the consequences of people's actions here can be either astonishing or like hell yeah, you go to jail.
It's really great, but yeah, Lord takes control. I will say I was automatically predisposed to her because so there's a thing in this game, hot tip, if you enter any specific area, you will usually have a scene with whatever characters are in that area. If you hit talk and talk to them again, that's how you get more information. Like that's how you get that little side quest from Dylan. That's how, or not Dylan, from Dalton. That's how you can chat with Dylan about albums that he's lent you. Like those are things where you get more information. And if you do that at one point with the Chief, you have a scene where the Chief defers to Lord in a way that feels really uncharacteristic. And if you do that, you find out that Lord pressured the Chief into saying certain things to the captain with regards to like the blackout and everything in a way that created the narrative that Lord wanted to tell. And you find out from the Chief that she was deeply uncomfortable with it, but she had to defer because rank got pulled on her basically. And
I remember this. Yes.
That for me was in the back of my head during all of this, and that for me was part of why I ended up doing some of the things that I did. Because it's very clear when Lord announces this mutiny, like Hansen and Haru are on her side, Rumney are on her side. But like everybody else seems like they're like, I don't know.
Well, you have the three parties, like in any mutiny. You have the loyal to the old captain, and you as the security officer, unfortunately, like, following Jovian military protocol, you are more loyal to the captain, probably. Like, this is played out in media. We've all seen mutinies in media. And then you have the neutral parties who are like, at the end of the day, I'm working for the government military, and nobody's getting killed. And, like, I mean, I kind of see it. Like, we're going to go back to Europa. We have an alien ship. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but we'll let the bigwigs figure it out when we get home, is kind of the vibe I get.
All right, this is when we all decide how compromised we're going to be. Alice, after I finished playing my game, I actually went to go look at your Steam achievements because I wanted to see if we had taken different paths, and I saw that we had. Alice, what did you do during the mutiny?
I defended the captain. I defended the rule of military law.
I ended up playing a character who was deeply compromised in this game in multiple ways, but I agreed with Lord so that I could continue my investigation.
Okay.
I was playing a jockey.
I sided with the captain too. I have a.
Okay.
I'm interested in this. Nico, what happens if you decide to side with a Lord?
Well, first of all, I deeply appreciate the writing because I've played games before where I make a choice because it is the tactical thing to do, but the game takes my choice at face value and will be like, wow, you suddenly had a change of heart. What an asshole you are. This game is very smart. If you decide to submit to Lord as the captain and pledge your allegiance to the mutineer crew, it's very clear in the flavor text. It's like, okay, you did what you have to do so that you still have free reign of the ship. Now your job is proving that like Cassandra and the captain are innocent and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's very clear that it understands why the player would make this choice if you've previously not sided with Lord in any way, shape, or form. Because there are opportunities earlier to kind of signal to Lord that you're like, you're with her, especially if you read the captain's file. The captain's file reveals that she was also part of the sortie where the Khalik squadron was wiped out, and her actions were probably the reason that your squad got wiped out. So you as a character have plenty of reason to actually hate the captain. Like I said, the character I played read that information, then did nothing with it the whole game. Didn't tell Hanson, didn't use it against her, didn't have a conversation with her about it. She just knew this and then operated anyway. But, like, there are times you could side with Lord legitimately, but because I sided with her only at this point, the game was like, okay, you know what you're doing. You're being an operator here. Like, go around, get what you need.
How these games function and most of the software that is used to make visual novels is basically just decision trees and like checking off marks and boxes that just output values. I would love to see the web that goes into this. But I do love that in any of the decisions that you make, it does feel like, because in multi-decision games, like you read the line and you're like, and then your character says, "Fuck you, Timmy," or some shit.
Well, we'll have to talk about this at the ending because I got a map of the choices.
Well, you got an Ingram, right?
Oh.
What's an Ingram?
The Ingram, is that the thing with the mother AI? Was that a map of your choices?
That's a map of your choices. That's all the different choices.
Okay.
I did
That's
not
what I was
parse
talking
that
about.
shit at
Yeah.
all.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that when we get to the ending.
stupid.
But I also got that map where it was like, here's the choices you made and could have made. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, no, so I sided with the mutineers, you stuck with the captain. What happens if you side with the captain?
You get in the
like,
wind.
do you get shoved in your quarters?
You get shoved in your quarters. Okay. One of my favorite things that visual novels can do is either when they play with idle time, where you're trapped somewhere where you have nothing to do, where there's nothing going on in the plot, what you can decide to fill your time with. You're stuck in your room, and the game does a really good job of like, okay, I've clicked on everything. There's nothing else I can do. What am I supposed to do? How can I get out of here? It's like, there's like a little fake out where it's like, maybe I can pull the wall panels apart. Oh, I don't have anything that I can like shimmy into the gap or anything.
And then you get something and you pop it open and it's the outside wall. You can't actually use the wall.
Yeah, you can't get in there.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then Dylan has negotiated that you're hungry. And so he does a full autocon and brings you a hamburger. What's in this hamburger?
You'll never guess.
A whole screwdriver.
That's fantastic.
So you can use that to pull a different panel off and like.
And then you're in the vents,
I also got a
which is
hamburger,
great.
but it was a different choice for me, how I acquired my hamburger.
So you basically, you lose the ability to just walk through the ship, but it gives you an alternate path to go to the rooms you would need to go to make the plot advance.
That explains. There was a part later where I felt like I had. So, if you side with the mutineers, you have a couple of ways to get what you need. I assume that y'all crawling through the walls is how you got like a gun and you got to engineering and shit. Like, is that correct? Okay.
We were in the Jeffries tubes.
If you have free reign of the ship, you can investigate sort of normally. The Rumney and Hanson follow you around, and like periodically, you only have a certain number of places you can visit before they get suspicious of you. But you can be caught if you go too many places.
That's fun.
But one of the things that you encounter if you stay loyal is that the chief wants you to show her a gun. She wants to know that you're serious about this. And one of the ways that you can get a gun, if you sided with Lord, not only does she do this whole mutiny thing, she also comes on to you.
Hello?
Ooh.
That makes sense. She's very tsundere. When you first meet her, she's just like, "Oh, Cassie talked about you. I don't see what she sees in you." And I'm like, this bitch is so down bad for me.
Yeah, so if you side with her during the mutiny, she tries to make a move on you and you escape. But when you realize that you no longer have access to the armory, she's removed your access to the armory, your prompt is like, go get permission to access the armory from the captain. And I had never made a save, which felt really stupid now, because I got to a point and I made a decision. I'm sure there's another way to do this. I slept with Lord.
You stupid slut.
To get that access to the armory.
You cheated on Cat. Oh, Alice is pissed.
cheated on my girlfriend
Alice is
to get the
pissed.
access to the armory.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that to
Means to an
Cassie?
Dude, it's like bondage shit too. It's not a full arrow game. Like, it doesn't cut to black, but Lord is clearly into some shit.
I mean, same, but
yeah, so that's how I got access to the armory, to get a gun to show the chief I was serious, to learn how to get into the surgery.
On the ethical side of this, you have to answer a series of questions to the chief that shows that you understand the evidence that proves that the two, you basically do a whole crime thing where you like get the different evidence to prove that there's no way it could have been Cassie or the chief because they were both sick at exactly the time. And then you present it to the chief.
Got all that stuff, but I only used it later.
In this one, you basically show to the chief, like, you should side with me because I can prove it. Like, we can do this legally without a gun.
By the way, throughout this whole thing, we just skipped one plot point, which is that the doctor was murdered and Cassandra's missing.
That is like the main catalyst for this kind of
mutiny.
Oh no, the doctor's dead.
So shockingly, the alien ends up being the one who kills the doctor.
Yeah.
The alien's here. Though we have
We got aliens. Aliens just dropped. By the way, we got aliens.
Alien from Aliens this year. I love when you go into the sick bay and two things happen, obviously. One, you get the doctor's data pad and you have to crack the password. And there's a sticky note on the data pad where the doctor has written, like, Chief, the prompt says press any key to continue. Where is the any key?
Mm-hmm.
That is your clue that this man is far too literal to be alive. So if you look at the password prompt and it says enter password, if you type password, you crack that data pad.
Yep.
It's one of those like I've seen this done in many visual novels. This is such a satisfying one where I'm like, I immediately understand this man.
At this point, all the chips are on the table. If you have the alien ship in your cargo bay with the goop on it, it breaks out, et cetera, et cetera. Nico, you hinted at some point that did you not get the scene where the alien takes off their helmet thing?
I did not. No.
Oh shit!
I felt like my exploration. My exploration, I think, was compromised because, like, when I go to, like, the tribunal where you have to kind of present all your evidence to overthrow the mutiny or whatever, I had some information on the alien. Like, I had gone to Central Computer, I had those phantom accesses, I had seen it a couple times. I found the door to the tunnels in the airlock, but I think because I chose to side with the mutineers, I didn't get to do anything with that, and I thought I'd just, like, miss part of the game, but I think it was just that
it's just the choices,
path.
Yeah.
So I've gathered a lot of, like, information around this alien. Like, I went to the hangar and I found where it had neatly cut out the access to exit its ship through Dylan's material. Mm-hmm. So, like, I found where clearly someone had left that vessel, but I didn't get any more information. So after I proved, like, Cassie and the captain's innocence, I could give details about what I thought was happening, but I had no solid theory. I had not seen the alien.
I'm really glad this happened because I really wanted to talk about the branching paths, but the two things that you didn't see are you can actually watch the alien ship break out of the goop.
Cool.
It looks awesome.
Oh, well, I saw when it broke out, but you can find evidence before it broke out that the pilot cut their way out.
Oh, yes. Okay. The other thing is you confront the alien in one of the hallways.
Outside of engineering.
It takes off its mask. Outside of engineering. It takes off its helmet mask thing, and it is Cassandra. And all of the aliens are Cassandra.
I had guessed that, but I never got the reveal. And I think it may have been because as a loyalist to the mutineers, as I was walking around the hallways, Hansen and Rumney were following me. So I think maybe I didn't get that scene because there were too many people in the hallways.
Yeah. So Cassandra is a clone, LOL. The alien, the Cassandra alien has Cassandra in its ship, and you have to do a fucking sick fight to get her back.
So it's cool how they do it, because they do lay the groundwork. Like, you go into the Central Computer with Chief, and you're both in the tiny little room, and you realize that something accessed all of the records of the personnel and stopped on Cassandra. And like it's like, oh, that's her whole medical information and everything. Like, of course. Like, it's very good groundwork to be like, oh, yeah, they just, like, they were looking for her. Like, they really lean into it.
I never got to go to Central Computer with Chief.
It's too small.
Oh, to be in a small...
Yeah. You get to have a great conversation with Chief about...
inevitable geometries in the fucking computer room. Fuck, I've got to replay it. I need more Chief.
You get to talk to her about, like, the, having orders versus doing the right thing, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, you can present her with all this evidence. But yeah, it turns out the aliens have like a serious protein deficiency, and that's why they stole all your protein drinks, and that's also why that's the only thing Cassandra can eat.
By the way, I forgot to say, y'all got a hamburger from Dylan doing the thing, or Dalton, or
we get a
whoever.
hamburger with a screwdriver in it from Dylan.
I ate that shit.
If you side with the mutineers, you just get to go to the mess hall and you get to choose like tacos or pancakes or hamburger, and I just like ordered a hamburger.
Hell yeah.
So I got the same like pickles or no pickles choice, but it was completely different.
You don't get
context.
to choose when he delivers it. To be clear.
if you side with the captain, you do not get to choose pickles. The only reason I knew about that is because I saw like images and clips of it. So that's a dead giveaway. If you got to pick. If you got to choose whether or not you had pickles, we know that you're a mutineer.
Compromised character. Pickles are the indicator.
This last fight is the sexiest fucking mech shit in the fucking world.
So good.
It blasts out of the
really
hangar. It has Cassandra. What do? It's depressurizing. We have to get in. Hansen's looking at you, and you know you've got to go after her. So you jump out in low G and head towards one of the Junos. Oh!
And you're getting sucked out by vacuum, but you manage to catch yourself on the Juno and get that cockpit. And like, okay, I need to see the ending if you just go, nah, my girlfriend's dead. Like, do you just go back to Europa? Like,
we just turn around.
They just put your bitch ass on trial. It does some cool things with warp technology here that I really like, the way that it does that. But you basically are just body slamming this, and it's since I played Femme for Femme, this was the gayest shit in the world, and Yuri is real.
It's the gayest shit in the world. You can do the full. One of the things that the best anime of all time, Eureka 7, likes to do is like they like to be in mid-flight with their mech, and they like to open the cockpit and like catch each other out of midair. That happens like 900 times. So we're getting that here.
You catch your girlfriend.
There's portal shit.
She's
you
like,
gotta catch your girlfriend.
Me. Just leave me. I'll go with them. No.
One of the most bangerest OSG skeets has been one about capturing your girlfriend into a cockpit in mid-flight.
Yes.
This is also the scene where I did the equivalent of the Nico check. I did look if I could find a record of this OST, because we've talked about the music up until this point. Bangers the entire time. And they
it's a really good
the
soundtrack.
sound so well. This moment.
Yeah. Sound design, soundtrack.
I
it's
stopped
all
taking
it's
notes.
Just
I was just in it. I was just sitting in
I know.
these frames.
I like forgot to write things down. All I have written down here is I believe gay love can pierce through the veil of death and save the day.
We didn't talk about how it does these. So this has been a very static game, but for some of these are animated in this cool comic book framing coming in. Like, it's so just beautifully animated how they do this.
There was a really brief moment, and I'm forever sad this didn't take off. And I get why it didn't take off, because like Netflix just sucks shit at marketing, and never they shoot themselves in the foot in the best artistic output they could do, and it's all been over. But they were doing these cool motion comics for a while. They did one for Watchmen that was actually really good, where it was like you were just reading the comic in the web browser, but some panels were like loosely animated. And
they did that with the
Blacklist
great. Last season. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I wish there were more of these things. So that's what it looks like. It's like, it'll give you like a, I don't know, like 5 or 6 second animation loop in between text. And they're all so good. They're all just mechs fighting. It fucking rules.
Yeah. This was really great. Like I said, I need to replay it and find out what happens if you just go, well, not my girlfriend anymore. Time to start a new life with Chief and my son Dalton.
I suspect Alice and I got the same or very similar endings, and I suspect Nico got a slightly different ending. So Alice, what happened in the ending for you?
In the ending for me, we learn that an AI from outside the solar system was looking for Cassandra because she has an autistic encyclopedic knowledge of the military systems of the Sol system, specifically the Jovian fleet. This was an op to get an intel agent so they could get intel for an invasion. And they are running continuous cycles of simulations of Cassie's memories and your memories, because you were the extra one. They keep talking about you were also a pickup, and they're running your memories to try and get as much information. And you wake up and you get this scene where like everybody's happy on the ship and everything's fine. And then they start saying, hey, how often do you change the security code protocols on your point defense systems? Hey, what's the typical response time for the Jovian fleet to a distress signal? And shit like that where you're like, and you learn that, and you get these cool scenes of the alien AIs looking at you, and they show you your Ingram. And your Ingram is this cool alien readout of all of the different choices you can make as your character. And I want to talk about, I'm going to jump right into it, the horrifying implications that these are the Ingrams of your life as they interact with Cassie, because that's what they want, is the information. So you'll notice that the game is generally when you're not, like, it's times when you're with Cassie or she's like out of action during the game, because that's where they want the information. And I just imagine that Cassie has been put through this a million times more because they are just trying to crack her through you.
Okay, so here's my complication on this. My understanding was that this alien intelligence had made a huge group of clones and had seeded them throughout, and that there were many different versions of Cassie in different areas, because there's a part that's mentioned during the court-martial where they say we've been losing a lot of officers, but all female officers. So, and at one point they say she's a gather. And so my understanding was that, like, Cassie was cloned and she as a person functions as a bug. So it's not that your Cassie is the one that they were dead set on getting back. It's that she is one of the bug devices that they're trying to retrieve to extract information. And they've got a bunch of them because you see a bunch of tanks at the end.
Yeah.
So I feel like
you get the Ray Ayanami shit.
They seeded these women all throughout the Jovian military structure. And now they're just harvesting them to get information.
They'd be putting women in tanks.
I was like, damn, they collecting a harem full of autistic girl failure operations officers. Where can I sign up?
See, and I don't even feel like Cassie necessarily had, like, special knowledge. I just feel like in aggregate, all of these other Cassies in different positions is how they are extracting. So they wanted your Cassie because they wanted their information from the Gundog posting. But, like, I think they were extracting Cassies by different names and of different types from all sorts of different military installations.
So no matter what happens, you do get court-martialed. This probably turns out slightly differently depending on your choices. For me, it was what you would think, right? Like, I believe Bartomeu gets demoted because she was drinking on the job. That was a fact that if you're conscientious, you have to talk about. But then, like, they put Lord in jail, and then they kind of, the game does a very, like, just sit tight, because, like, it implies everyone is going to get reassigned to a different ship together
as part of the task force to deal with this. Yeah, it's real, like, we're setting this up.
I don't know if it's substantially different, but in the tribunal, basically where you present all your evidence to the crew, I swayed the crew, and so the crew was completely on my side. And in my court-martial, Bartomeu was put on house arrest, and Lord was put on house arrest. But neither of them was, like, demoted or sent to jail. It was, like, pending investigation in this task force.
So when I got to the end of Danganronpa for the trial, no, I think this is a good way to do the, what did your choices do to these characters? It's a great way to do it, seeing what they do with everybody. I'm sure there's so many variants of what can happen. Really cool. But I think the biggest part is, God, I want another story. I want to know what happens in the soul sphere.
Me too.
Because the implications of what is happening is the wildest shit, and I can't wait.
And the implication of my understanding is that you were extra. I feel like they're just gonna extract your engram and liquidate you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that was my vibe.
I got Picard Borg vibes, is what I want.
Oh, you're gonna be a Locutus type.
Yes.
We'll see. It's really cool.
We'll have to see what happens. You know, I detest the current labor cycle of video games, and I know that Space Colony is a small studio, so please take your time. I want games easily made by people that take longer and look worse, and I'm not kidding.
Unfortunately, this looks
your
great.
game did look incredible.
Yeah. But unfortunately,
slower.
if you guys keep Kevin around, you're not gonna have a choice but to look incredible. But just take your time. Yeah. So I don't shall we jump into this important task? We have an important task.
I think it's time. I think we've got to do it. We've got to rate these goddamn mechs.
Alice, what's your rating?
Unfortunately, we just have the Juno. This is gonna hurt. Sorry. I want to say the game, love it. I can't wait to go back and play more playthroughs because I do want to kind of completion this in the visual novel pervert way.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does with mechs is cool. The things that it does with the mechs, like I had to think about this in comparison to other things that have few mechs on screen, but this is one that is like, I don't know if we've done one that has had as few mechs as this one so far. Like, there's two mechs to talk about here. However,
well, I feel like any individual part of the Metal Year kind of had this problem.
Well, Escaflowne also only had two mechs.
True. Okay, so I can't be too down on it. But what it does with them and the use of the space, the use of the cockpit in particular, I really enjoy. I'm definitely not giving this rating because of Cassie, my wife, who supports me in everything I do. This is going to be an 8 out of 10 for me. What it did with mechs and the ending is so Top Gun code. Like, Top Gun is amazing because of the volleyball in the middle. And this game is amazing because of Aliens, the movie in the middle. And it's an 8 out of 10.
All right. Nico?
I'm considering for this not only the Juno but also the alien vessel, right? Because we find out that the pilot has cut their way out. That's a piloted mech.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like this one's hard because again, like the emphasis is on the mechs in the sense of like I said, I can't get over the pure vibes of being trapped in your non-functional mech as like a coffin. Like I love that whenever it pops up. It's just a really good thing to do with mechs. So like it's very grounded in mechs, but yeah, and your relationship to the armored frame and your relationship to what happened to you and to Hansen and to like all of the stuff, I think it's really beautifully laid out. But I will say this to me, like we keep joking about Aliens, the Nostromo is an environment that is so wild and hostile and various. And while the Gundog is smaller, it has those vibes for me, especially like, I mean, I played someone who joined the Mutineers, so I didn't get to crawl around in the Jeffries tubes. But like, every time you find evidence of something being left open or a secret access or a whatever, like I loved those little like mechanical parts of it. I enjoyed it. I just, you know, I can't say that this did the Nico metric of like, I wish I had a little figure of the Juno or the alien ship. Like it's fine, but I really enjoyed exploring the space. So I'm going to give this a 6. This is a solid 6 from me.
Yeah, for me, it's like, you know, I think that they I mean, obviously, so in the interview we talk a little bit about mecha as a genre, and I just think that the crew really understood how to get mileage out of mechs, what people want to see when they see mechs, what makes a good. One of the things that I remember we talked about is what makes a good mech fight, and similar to Nico, like. We have a sense of scale here. I find the sequence where the big alien mech crawling up on you in the gantry is just unforgettable. It looks so cool. I love being trapped in a mech. I love mechs as spaces. I love the carrier as a space. I love how this localizes you in all of these spaces and uses them to like fold into sort of an ongoing theme about like when to move, when to stand still, when to use your agency, that kind of thing. It all folds together really well. But yeah, I mean, similarly, it's just like there's only 2. There's, you know, just due to the length and like, again, if you're new here, like we're rating the mechs themselves and not necessarily the piece here. To me, the game is a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give the mechs a 7. I just think like, you know, all together, there's no actual issues here. But you know, I can see a Stories from Soul game that is a 10 in the future. I can just see it in my mind's eye. It's all here.
There's already a lot of excellence in narrative, in game design, in art. It's all the pieces are here, and I think it's just going to keep cooking.
I want to see those fucked up Martian mechs so fucking bad.
I want to see more versions of them. I love alien mechs.
Aliens are cool. We have to take a quick break, and then we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game.
Don't like that.
We're gonna have an activity. I don't know if it counts as a game, but we'll figure it out.
Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for listening to On the Shoulders of Giants. We're really happy you're here, but if you know anybody who might be interested, we'd love if you share our work with them. If you are enjoying what we're doing, maybe send us a message, or what would really help us out is if you leave a review online. Really, a lot of the algorithms will push people down if they don't have reviews, so it really helps if you just go and write something on the internet. Heck, we might even read one on the podcast if it's really nice and makes our hearts go doki doki. So if you could do that, maybe do it, and thanks again for listening. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back from the break. We're gonna play a game. As I mentioned, we're gonna
play another run of Gundog.
We're gonna play Gundog. No, we're gonna play another run of Metal Gear Rising.
Drop the intro music to Gundog.
I'm gonna force Nico to play Metal Gear Rising.
No, my enjoyment of it will be compromised by having to actually play it.
I'm trying to find the damn. I think might be a bad website, you guys.
It's bad.
No, I think I gotta send you a new link because I renamed the folder and I think I broke the timeline.
I resaved the link.
Well, it's also, I was in the outline. I navigated to the parent folder of the outline and it made me sign in again.
Oh, it doesn't do that. It hates that. It hates you trying to navigate within the file folders. It does not.
What the fuck? Where's my content? Where is just my files? My content? I'm sorry to be a curmudgeonly old man, but you just, ugh.
Right?
I hate
said,
pretty much anytime people use content, I'm mad.
I'm making content with you guys right now.
Okay. I have, oh my God. Okay, I have it.
Okay.
Welcome back from the break again. But in case I decide to just chop that whole thing off.
The second return.
The second return. We're going to do an activity that may or may not constitute a game.
The legal distinction will be determined at our court-martial.
Much like a visual novel, the gameness of this can be up to interpretation. I'm just calling this the Gundog game because
sorry, the game dog?
The game dog, sorry, you're right. Sorry, the game dog.
Oh no,
the game dog.
I just lost the game, comma dog. And now you have, for the first time in 10 years, you just lost the game. Nico left.
Nico left the call. Nico literally left the call.
Hey, if you're allowed to reference fucking Homestuck, I'm allowed to reference internet humor from 2014.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so valid.
I feel like there was a reference to losing the game in Homestuck.
I'm sure. You know there was.
I'm like 90% sure.
I wouldn't know. I'm 17.
I don't even know what to say to that. Listen, the story of creation of such a fun and unique thing like Stories from Saul the Gundog is the story of collaborative narration and a community's ability to come together to produce something great. In that light, I have decided that we are going to plot out our own PC-98 visual novel with our own custom Mad Lib.
Oh my God, I thought you were about to have us code a twine game. Okay, Mad Lib, got it.
However,
we're doing a game jam.
Point of order, this Mad Lib has a twist. It can be won.
Oh my God.
You see, in our very first episode, I claimed the title of the Arbiter of Truth and Justice.
It's true.
And I've practiced an amazing amount of self-restraint in not utilizing that title more often in the past.
The official stance of the OSG podcast is that Brian is the Arbiter of Truth and Justice for the entire universe.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
It's a lot of responsibility, and that's why I don't really have time for any of you.
I like how it's like we've got CEO, Arbiter of Truth and Justice, and Nico.
Dad.
Nico.
Assigned Dad of Pod.
Dad, that's right.
Dad of Pod.
Hey, everybody, this is being recorded on Father's Day. It will obviously be released after Father's Day. When you listen to this episode, please skeet me. Happy Father's Day, because I'm your father.
Happy Father's Day.
Nico's everybody's dad, much like Big Boss.
If you have a shitty dad, I'm your dad now. If you have a good dad, I'm your stepdad
You've got
now.
Gendo Akari? Throw that shit to the curb. We've got Nico Metis.
I'm Shinji's dad now.
No, you're Big Boss. You have an eye patch and a cigar. You're everybody's bad dad.
If you were Shinji's dad, you would let them transition. Thank you for your service.
I would have.
Anyway, I have already filled in my own answers for some of these. And so while I go through the Mad Lib with you all, I'm going to be ranking who is thematically or like conceptually closer to my answer. Whoever has more of those at the end will win the Mad Lib, which means absolutely nothing, but it's just something fun to tease somebody about.
We'll get the true ending.
Yeah, the true ending.
Code the Ingram.
Okay. So we'll just go through this. I'm going to just alternate calling out the things I need from you. And we'll start with Alice.
Okay.
So I need a noun.
Okay, so do we have anything about what this is, or are we just doing okay?
That's not what a Mad Lib. That's not what Mad Libs
Generally,
are
you know, like
in
what
terms
kind
of this.
Mad Lib it is, right?
No. You read through the Mad Lib maybe, but that's not what we're doing here because I'm the arbiter of truth and
You
justice.
know what? That's on me for even.
Alice, I can't believe you forgot for a second that Brian is the arbiter of truth and justice.
I just feel like, we've got to add that to the web zone.
At one point, Dylan references the meme, I'm under attack and I'm not having a good time or whatever the fuck, and it's just
Noun,
really good.
cassette.
Cassette. Okay.
Oh, nice.
All right, Nico, I need a verb.
Pilot.
Okay, and Alice, I need another noun. Different noun.
Clown.
Okay. Oh no.
I'm trying to think of 90s action point click adventures, and I just remember the clown one.
Yep. Nico, I need a profession.
Chief engineer. Chief, I'm free on Thursday. I'm actually not free on Thursday. I'm sorry, Chief. I'm free on Friday.
We're watching Borderlands on Thursday.
I'm so cooked. I forgot. Christ.
Watching Borderlands starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
Starring. Alice, I need an RPG class. Any RPG.
Oh, what are we doing? The best class ever, Dancer from Final Fantasy.
Nico, I need a verb.
Order. I keep saying verbs that are also nouns.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Alice, I need a food item.
Melon pan.
Not pickles?
No, this is really good. Nico, I need an article of clothing.
Bomber jacket.
Which is also a verb.
Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's also a verb.
Alice, an emotion.
Is horny an emotion?
I was literally thinking lust.
It's lust.
Okay, lust.
I know what I'm about in this visual novel from the 90s.
Okay. Nico, I need a street name.
Okay. I almost doxed myself. I almost just gave the street name that I live on. That's nothing.
Do a different one.
Piccadilly Circus. That's a street, right?
Sure, probably somewhere.
No, in London. I think it's a street. It may just also be a region, but whatever. Ghost at
Having
me.
been at Piccadilly Circus, that's great. Thank you.
I think it's like a roundabout, whatever.
Sure.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Alice, I need a different emotion.
Now you have to think of an emotion other than lust.
That's
Alice.
hard for me.
Hang in
That's
there.
hard for me. Confused.
All right, Nico, for the last one, a Metal Gear quote.
Wow, doing that to Nico.
Nanomachine, son.
Only one it could have been. So good.
Okay.
It was either that or the only other thing I could pull is a Metal Gear quote, which is not a Metal Gear quote, but it's the meme of Boss and Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3, where she's like, anyone who's ever fought for their country was a clown. That's not a real quote, but it's all I could think of.
Honestly, you could have just said that and not attributed it to it or to anybody or anything, and I would have believed that was a quote. Honestly,
It sounds like a line.
Okay. Here we go.
It's time to look at our engram.
It's time to look at your engram. Ow.
Fucking killed yourself. No.
Brian is taking
Brian
damage.
just took damage.
Ow. I just took damage to my Alice voice chassis.
Why did you attribute that to Alice voice? My armored frame, no.
In OSG Studios' debut throwback PC 9800 visual novel, Giant Cassette, That Time We All Piloted Clowns, the player character is a chief engineer using mechs to order very competently. Suddenly, they are thrown into a whirlwind romance as a dancer with beautiful hair crash lands in their beach town inside a meteor. Their beautiful alien dancer informs you of a galactic war with the Melon Pen Magisterium, in the fires of which Earth has suddenly become the center of the battleground. Don your bomber jacket, climb into Lust Piccadilly Circus, your mech, and prove your confusion to the alien beauty. watch out, for war is not the same as ordering, and nanomachines, son.
Oh man, I'm really sad I didn't say and everyone who's ever fought, who's ever died for their country was a clown.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for Giant Cassette.
Cassette, the day we piloted clowns, literally is what it feels like to record this podcast. I am a clown. I am piloting when I record this podcast.
I am piloting a clown in this moment.
So this was a tie. Nico, you got a point for order. Which is, I feel like thematically or conceptually close to serve. Like they're diametrically opposed, but like it's close enough. Alice, you got a point for lust, which is literally the exact same word I used.
Lust Piccadilly Circus. I love her.
So now we have to make this, right?
I'm telling you, we're doing the game. Let's go.
Someone bust out. No, we have to use for Ghost.
Oh yeah, we have to do that for Ghost.
We don't want to dox Ghost.
Just real quick.
We have to use bleep.
Unnamed RPG software. Ghost works for Unreal.
Ghost works for. In order to cover for doxing Ghost, I'm gonna dox Ghost in the opposite direction.
Well, hey, I almost said my actual street on this show.
Ghost works at Unity.
I can't believe Ghost works at Raytheon. That's not a...
I can't believe Ghost works at Lockheed Martin.
Ghost 100% works at Anaheim Electronics because Ghost doesn't know what that is from Gundam, but definitely would work for Anaheim Electronics.
Oh, Ghost is the Otacon, right? He'll have the Metal Gear has nukes line, but it's Anaheim Electronics has Gundams.
Yes!
Oh, God bless you, Ghost.
Bless you, Ghost.
So anyway, that was an activity that may or may not be constituted as of for a game.
It gave me the phrase "the day we piloted clowns," which is what I'm going to think every time I do something stupid from now on.
The day I piloted clowns.
Okay, Corey, friend of the show, Corey said the phrase "I am a fool in man's shoes" like once. And I think it every time I fuck up, especially if I'm wearing shoes. Mm-hmm. And now I get to add to that sort of portfolio the day we piloted clowns.
Someone may want to know this. The Metal Gear quote that I chose was, "Is there a way to take off my pants?" So.
Beautiful stuff. Well, Brian, you have a little snack for us.
I have a little snack.
Tasty.
I mean, it's a morsel. Instead of doing a letter this time,
we're getting a broadcast from the past on our emergency airlock radios.
Luckily, I changed the batteries in my emergency spacesuit, which I can pop into my communicator to use.
My memory is poor enough, and this is long ago enough that I'm now remembering, fearing, and hoping that I had this new microphone when I did this interview. I'm pretty sure I did. But I'm going to throw to... I got to talk to Jonathan Durham, the aforementioned character designer / writer / guy at... the guy. His official job title at Space Colony Studios is the guy. I got to talk to. We talked 45 minutes, an hour, just about like how this got made, what like the sensibilities are that went into it. So that will happen to you. That will happen to you right now, and then we'll come back to close out the episode. So I'm not going to do like a big old embarrassing introduction rigmarole or anything. We can just kind of jump into it. So yeah, I don't. Just to get us like where we are in the current moment. How long has the game been out? It's been like a month now, right?
Yeah, just over a month. So it launched globally on February 19th. So it's been about 6 weeks now, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm trying to think of how I like actually initially saw it, and I don't think it was anything but just kind of being on Blue Sky and having algorithms do me the favor of letting me see the posts and everything. But can you give us like a rough timeline on like, is this Space Colony's first game? Like what is like the shape of your career kind of taken, and what brings you to like this moment with the game's release?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in the context of being a game developer or just a creative in general, career is an extremely generous term to be using.
Sure.
So this is Space Colony Studios' first game, and in fact, it's all of the I'd say there's sort of four key people involved. So there's myself, John Durham, acting as the creative director, the writer, character designer, background designer, stuff like that. Then we've got our programmer, Ben Keller. And so he's done a lot of the production, a lot of the product management, and the actual like programming side. Then we've got Kevin Butler, who's our pixel artist and animator. So he sort of took my designs, and made them into what you see in the game. And then we've got our composer, Daniel Goodman, who made all the background music and the sound effects. So this was really the first major project for all of us. So personally, I've run some Dungeons and Dragons games. I've done a few short comics and illustrations. I made one very short visual novel. It's about like 10 minutes long as a joke a good few years ago. And everyone else, Kevin has done some emojis and some animations and things. Daniel's made, a few tracks on commission, but then aside from that, it's just, wherever inspiration has taken him, he's made a track. So no, albums or anything like that. And Ben is a professional programmer, but so outside of, building a website or something for people and, doing software as a service things, he's never done like a big creative project like this. So this was actually altogether our first big creative project and our first game. So there's been like a huge amount of sort of learning on the go, figuring things out as we go along. And it has been really tough. But and you asked how we kind of got here. So Stories from Soul actually started off. So like I said, I ran a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games for my friends around sort of 2018. And I'm a much bigger fan of like the sci-fi genre and the mecha genre than I am of the fantasy genre. So, we've done Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Yeah. Which is like the go-to for anyone who wants to start doing like tabletop RPGs. And as the GM, I was like, guys, can we try something a bit different? Because I found this system called, I don't know if you're familiar with it, Jovian Chronicles.
Okay, I'm not. I'm going to start typing though.
It's made by the people who did the Heavy Gear role-playing system.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was like, early 90s. I think they're called DreamPod 9 or something like that. And very clearly heavily anime inspired. Like Heavy Gear is very like Votoms and things. And Jovian Chronicles is very like Gundam. And I think it originally started off as it span off from Mechs, which I believe was done, I want to say by Mike Pondsmith, same guy who did Cyberpunk. So a lot of sort of like, heavy anime influences there. So I span up this, a couple of stories worth, a couple of sessions worth of plot, and we tried it, and it didn't really take. I think just because of the kind of difference in the stories it was set up to play, whereas D&D you can instantly get into like a big sweeping campaign, but something like Jovian Chronicles, it is sort of designed for that kind of episodic anime feel. And for whatever reason, like I think it's just, they didn't like the system. They weren't huge fans of the settings, so I put it down, I put it aside, and I didn't pick it back up until the first British lockdown. So we're talking, second quarter of 2020. Mm-hmm. And I think if you've played, I'm assuming you guys have played the game. But for any of your listeners, I think that shows a lot in the opening scene where, you're stuck in a cockpit, you're completely unable to leave, you can't do anything, you're just witnessing all this horrendous stuff going on around you. And I didn't consciously realize that's what I was doing at the time. It's only about, when I played it 3 years later, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I see where that came from.
Yeah, that makes so much. I didn't think about that when I was playing it either, but that makes a lot of sense hearing it now.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I was doing it at the time. I think it was just, just sort of bleeding through. But yeah, so I was just bored, like a lot of people were. Like, yeah. And, like a lot of other people, I was like, okay, well, this is a good time to start a project. And I'd done this little 10-minute visual novel thing before, which was just there was like a meme going around on sort of, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons Twitter, basically, where it's like, draw your character in a dating sim. People just draw their player character and put like a fake dialogue box. And I went, the whole hog and made like a short little fake visual novel for it. And I thought, you know what, I've done this before. I can do this. I've got this cool story. And I started writing. So so I started writing, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do some sprite work. And I thought, oh God, I'm real bad at sprite work. So I found Kevin. I was like, oh, would you like to, come on board and do some sprite work for this? And he said, yeah, sure. And I was like, right, okay, I've got these sprites now. I'll program it. And I was like, okay, I'm really bad at programming. So I approached Ben. I was like, would you like to be part of this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, you know what? I can do chiptunes though. And then I was like, no, I'm bad at that too. So it's this real, I had this grand vision. I was like, yeah, I can solo dev. How hard could it be? And I was like, oh, it's all really difficult actually. So I sort of brought, everyone on board.
Did you already know everybody, or was it like a kind of casting call or passing acquaintances?
So a lot of it was just a lot of coincidence. So Ben is my wife's sister's boyfriend. And like I knew him from family gatherings and stuff, but we didn't talk that much. We didn't know each other super well. It was just like, oh, hey Ben, hey John, how's it going? At Christmas and birthdays, and that was pretty much it. But I knew he was a programmer. And I tried like one or two other people just from, contacts I had online, and it just wasn't really working out. So I said, I actually did it. I remember it was on Pancake Day over here in the UK. So it's like late February, early March in 2022. And we'd been at a family member's like all evening. And as he was leaving, I was like, right, okay, Ben, do you want to make a video game? And he was like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool. I was like, great. So I got him on board that way. And then Kevin, I don't know how I knew him. So for some reason, we were Tumblr mutuals pre-purge. And then we found each other again on Twitter. And so I was just, following on Twitter. And like I never interacted with him, but I saw he did pixel art emojis. And I was looking for someone who could do pixel art. And he, I'd never seen him do any character sprites, any backgrounds, anything like that. So I approached him. I said, oh, hey, I know you do these pixel art emojis. Do you know anyone who does pixel art like UI and characters and backgrounds and stuff? And he went, oh yeah, I could do that. And I thought, well, I've not seen you do any of that kind of stuff ever, but you know what? Your emojis are pretty good, so let's see what happens. And then, basically like the UI of the game was the first thing I got him to do. He just came out with that like first try based off some sketches of mine. I was like, oh, okay, cool, excellent, brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah,
here we go.
And that's what ended up. That's the final look of the UI as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it went through some variations, but effectively, like 90% of what you see in the final game is just what Kevin came out with. Like, job one, that was it. And he's just continued to blow us all away the entire time. And then Daniel, again, like I just was on YouTube, just searching for chiptunes, like personal chiptunes and things like that. And then I found his channel and I sent him a message saying like, oh, hey, you open for commissions? And he's, yeah, okay. And then, it just went from there. So I've just been extremely lucky is what I would say. Like I didn't have to go through loads of screening. I didn't have to go through loads of negotiations with people. All three of the other guys are just extremely amicable, extremely like chill and cool. And to this day, I'm just like, I am so incredibly lucky. Like as anyone, like I can imagine, with your podcast and things, if you've ever started a project, like there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes and the people you do it with just makes so much difference.
Totally. I mean, I think that's important too, because especially lately, there's a lot of, I think we've all gotten a little bit bitter about the internet, just like as a construct.
Yes.
And I think this is like an important story to think about in terms of just like, it is actually still possible to kind of come together and have like groupthink can be productive and like chemistry is important. Yeah. For the podcast, like we knew each other all really well beforehand, but it is really like, it was really Alice who like sat us down and was like, hey, we all want to do something and it should be this. So let's do this. And so like, I'm again, same story, like incredibly lucky that she decided to do that. Cause otherwise I kind of would have just floundered and not had any sort of creative output on the thing. I think it all came together. Like I try not to just kind of sit here and compliment people, but I will say like, I think it came together with an extraordinary amount of polish. I don't think you can see, there's some, I play a lot of independent games and I love them all. There are a lot of places where you can see some of the struggle. I didn't get any of that playing your game. So I think the luck part of that really fed into a miracle.
That is a huge compliment, and it is an absolute unicorn of a game, because by rights, like, 4 dudes who didn't really know each other coming together to make their first video game when none of them have done anything at significant scale in their chosen discipline before, like, except for Ben. And again, that was mainly software and web development and things like that. You know, really, the amount of stories you hear of people who have done this before and want to do it and, you know, have experience and have like a really sort of firm target, and it just doesn't work out. Like, I think one of the things that actually helped a lot was having seen and heard so many horror stories. And not just, you know, in the independent space, but in the you know, like even in the AAA, the professional space. Like, you see stuff like, do you remember Too Human?
Oh yeah,
in development for like 20 years or something, and came out and was just absolutely nothing, and then suffered huge legal consequences and had to be like destroyed. Or Mighty Number 9, the Keiji Inafune Mega Man Kickstarter. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one as well. Yeah, I just think in general we can say it, like the AAA industry as a monolith right now offers a lot of shall we say secondhand advice for what not to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of, and like, I've always been mindful as a creative of other, like, what other creatives do or don't do. And it's stuff like there's a lot of like famous stories out there, like, you know, George Lucas, like obviously like Star Wars creator and stuff. There was like a long period where he was like hailed as like, oh my god, Lucas is a genius. And, you know, like, looking at the original 3 trilogies of Star Wars films, that was like the narrative. And it was only sort of after the prequel trilogies that people were like, oh, okay, no, so his wife was heavily involved in the editing of A New Hope. And, you know, the guy he knew from university, from his filmmaking course, was like a significant presence in The Empire Strikes Back and stuff like this. And that kind of like disassembled that, you know, cult of the genius. You know, like people like Hideo Kojima and things like that, like the Metal Gear Solid 5 situation had happened like just before I started even thinking about making this game. I was just very kind of mindful. Like, you know, like, I will say, like, he's definitely like a genius, but then when you find out with, like, you know, like Solid 2, who did most of the writing and like the you know, so you kind of learn from looking at these other creatives, like, oh, okay, well, this is the mistakes they've made. And so, you know, when we started, I was like, right, I know I'm kind of the creative director and the main driving force of this at the moment. If you think I am being an idiot, shout, because I do not want to get into like a auteur kind of navel gazing situation where no one likes working with me and I do something terrible because I think I'm infallible, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we last year we did full year coverage of the Metal Gear series, and we talked about that a lot, of how like the production company too can kind of like put one person in the production crew on a pedestal, and then they kind of become uneditable and things unfold from there. But yeah, I mean, to kind of get into well, actually, I guess I should say we'll be talking in the main episode about like most of the plot details. So a lot of the questions are going to kind of just like be assuming that people have already listened to us talk about the story. But I would say, like, what are some of the favorite things? Like, I mean, we see the posts on Blue Sky, which they're all great, by the way. Do you handle that account?
That's me. Yeah, that's all me. I put on this little voice where I'm like, yeah, we've been doing this. So it's just me. It's just me trying to make us sound like we are big. Like, that's been actually a big part of our approach to everything, has just been pretend we're bigger than we are. Because as a indie company, especially as like a British indie company, it's really easy to be humble and downplay yourself. But in the world today, like, you just need to be loud and just sell yourself as much as possible. You know, like, you can't rely on people coming to you. You've got to be out there banging your own drum. So yeah, I'm on that social media account being like, yeah, we've all been doing this, and the team's been doing this, and the studio, and like at max, you know, it's 2 to 3 dudes at any time. But it is mainly me.
Okay, yeah, that's a good advice. I try to do that. I think we have a little, obviously a different, have to have a different approach to like what we talk about, but yeah, I think that's good advice. But like if somebody says, "Hey, what's your game about?" Like, what are some of the favorite like elevator pitch things you like to say to just kind of be like, "This is the game I made."
Yeah. So I usually lead with the biggest selling point. I think I always say like, okay, it's 80s and 90s retro anime inspired sci-fi anime. So I'll say like, Gundam 0083, Martian Successor,
totally.
Nadesco, Macross, stuff like that. And I think that gets a lot of like our target audience in through the door initially. Then sort of like what I like to lead into is I'll say also, very heavily inspired by American sci-fi from the 70s and 80s. So Alien, The Thing, Blade Runner, even going back a little bit to the 70s, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are actually surprisingly bigger influences than I think is kind of obvious from the game itself. Because like I know we present it as very anime inspired, and obviously we operate in sort of very kind of anime centric spaces. But those kind of movies actually did have a lot to inform the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can the being chased through the haunted spaceship by a creepy thing is absolutely a touchstone,
Yeah. And then kind of like what I like to move into is so visual novels, especially with people who aren't necessarily visual novel fans, it's a really tricky genre to sell because there are so many preconceptions about visual novels.
It's got reputations for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, what I'll always say is, I have got huge appreciation for the visual novel genre. I think a lot of storytelling that we've seen in the AAA space in like the past kind of like 10, 15 years had there was stuff that's being done by sort of these visual novel games like decades before that kind of thing. Like Mass Effect, those kind of conversation choices. Textbook visual novel stuff, the Witcher, those kind of choices, again, like very visual novel inspired. And then you've got, the Persona 5 we had like a big debate over what just stopped that from being a visual novel. And it got to the point where it's just, you've got a little guy and he runs around, and the little guy running around like instantly stops something from being a visual novel, So I've got like a lot of respect for it as a genre and for what it's done. And I'm very mindful of, in the visual novel creator space, there's this kind of running half joke, half source of frustration about people who are like, oh, this isn't like other visual novels, it's because they've got this sort of reputation as they're either just romance games, dating sims, or hentai games, basically. I think like the larger perspective sees them. So you use the term visual novel, and people can instantly write you off. I'm going to be really, really careful what I say here, because like I said, huge amount of respect, but there you can also kind of like, if you're on Steam and your games are not filtered, it's not hard to see why people think that. And go on.
I was just going to say, I mean, I just for at least regular listeners of the podcast, like a long-term kind of I guess critical eye that we take is the fact that the whole anime genre is adjacent to a lot of stuff that you do have to work through. I mean, in the same way that visual novels are that way to video games writ large, like anime to media writ large also has a lot of I guess cultural baggage. So I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so because the thing is, if I'm pitching, usually with someone like yourself who's familiar with the mecha genre, I can just go straight in with the we're visually inspired by Kenichi Sanada and people like that. And go straight in with like what the influences are and things, and then say it's a visual novel and it's fine. But because I've been at events like at GDC, Tokyo Game Show and stuff like that, so I do kind of have to lead in with it's a visual novel, and then kind of explain like the best bits of the whole like visual novel genre and stuff to kind of reassure people and make them feel a bit more kind of like confident in what it is. Because you can say like it's a narrative game, which is true, and again, there have been a lot of games that have come out in the past decade that are sort of classed as narrative games that have got like a lot of attention. But I think people kind of like can try and like distance themselves from the label of visual novel. And I don't want to do that because that genre has done so much work for the video games industry. Like I really kind of want to honor it. But then,
I think it's important that this exists in the same space as your Heavens Will Be Mine and your, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the big thing that I kind of go on from there that serves like a good jumping off point to talk about is I sort of start talking about the plot, and I'll say, so it's 4 years after this big, solar system spanning war. You're on this patrol ship. Stuff starts going wrong, and that a big part of it is that you're a pre-existing romantic relationship, because I think like at its core, the game is it's an exploration of lots of different relationships. It's pretty much just about human relationships, really. And so you start the game with your girlfriend, Lieutenant Commander Cassandra Quinn. And the reason I started the game with you in a pre-established relationship is because I think in the video game space in general, at every level, and like again, visual novels are actually one of the genre that's done the most work on this, and you have the most originality and complexity. But let's say the AAA space, relationships are often just another objective, like gather 12 feathers, get a girlfriend,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's very much the acquisition is the goal, and it's about developing the relationship to a point where you can just tick it off your list, and then you can go off and kill the dragon or whatever.
Yeah. Whose kiss scene are you gonna play for in this?
Exactly. And so what I wanted to do in this is, so I've been married to my wife for about 6 years now. We've been together for 15. And I think that's just not the kind of relationship you ever really see in the majority of video games. So I wanted to present that kind of relationship and then the challenges that come with it. So, because again, like when we talk about the difficulties with like a visual novel as a game and the expectations that people have, like initially when Gundog was just sort of like getting out to people go, oh, is this a dating sim? Oh, is this a romance game? And I'd be like, no.
Right.
And kind of what I want to do is I want to put an example of a relationship out in the space that, sorry, it's a really tricky one because the people have this perception of the audience of visual novels in the same way they have a perception of visual novels themselves. And I think because they, even visual novel creators can kind of have this perception where people are absolutely fine with just the concept of romance being just an ongoing attempt to acquire something and then it is done. So I wanted to give like the kind of players, especially like, the younger players, demonstration of like there are different kinds of relationships out there. It's not all just the hunt.
It's not just the chase. Yeah, exactly.
Like it's about maintenance. It's about commitment. It's about what kind of struggles do you have, because you don't just get the girl, the guy, and then you have them forever and they're and that's an immutable fact. Relationships are fluid, they change. And they can have like a lasting impact on you. You can change as a result of a relationship. So I have always made a point as well of how I'm trying to bring this sort of ultimate presentation of romance into the kind of like wider video game space instead of just being a sort of 5-minute indie exploration of like a difficult romance. I wanted to make something that I felt was, what could be a widely popular game with a non-standard romance, because on the one hand, players are kind of losing that agency. It's, although you are playing as your main player character, you do come with this set of pre-established elements to your character, and the existing girlfriend is one of them, which has been a bit controversial with some people, but I wanted to use that as a means to go like, okay, well, here's how things can be. Things can be different. And I, want to explore that because I think that's just as valid as, the whirlwind of excitement that is, falling in love or anything like that. So, and that's usually sort of like how I cap off the pitches as well, is is talking about how it's about relationships with a focus on that kind of relationship.
That's actually, I mean, it was something I noticed that, we had this like really kind of dynamic cast of characters that was really fun to bounce off of each other. But like you were saying, like contrary to what you might expect, like it is not a game of like, oh, this time I'm going to try and romance the chief type situation. I would love to romance the chief. But I am
you and everyone else,
yeah. But I do really like the take on, and I mean I think it changes. I've only gotten one ending so far. I'm gonna play it again before we actually do the recording. But the ending that I did get, it was kind of interesting in terms of like further installments in the series of like what are the stakes for this relationship going forward now that you know what you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean that really covered a lot of the stuff I wanted to talk about with this next one. So I'm just gonna skip to talking about like we talked a lot about visual novels.
Yes, yeah.
Those sort of share a zeitgeist, I would say, with the adventure game. They're in a lot of ways one and the same. But are there any like specific like adventure games that you would say are kind of like in the canon of this or like in the background of this? Because I am actually very unfamiliar. Like I played some visual novels. I've never really played like an early pixel like an adventure game, like text-based adventure game.
Yeah, so there's the two main kind of schools. You've got like the American school of adventure games, and then the obviously we've got the visual trappings of the Japanese school of adventure games, especially like the PC 98 ones. Move, look, use, talk, item, and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I've played through like a few of them outside of like some sort of really fundamental titles within that genre. Police Noughts and Snatcher, which again are both Hideo Kojima games.
Yeah.
There are some that up until recently were not like sort of really widely available in the West. Like I know they've localized remade even the Famicom Detective Club, some of those games. I know Emio the Smiling Man is sort of like a continuation of that tradition. But they're very recent, and so a lot of the other ones that are kind of out there that you're able to play, aside from Snatcher and Police Noughts, are very, 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 very basic. Like you just kind of wander around, click and move until you're in the right place, and then you have to exhaust all the dialogue options for everything, and then you move around, and it's not very sort of intuitive almost. It's kind of just like, go here, exhaust the content, go here, exhaust the content, and you've also got to know where you're going. So it's just... The ones I played are not particularly great. And then
I can see. Well, I would say one of the things I appreciated about this game is for me as someone who has trouble with like physical spaces and mapping, I very much liked that I could go to a place by clicking on it instead of having to remember what hallway I was in, for example.
Yeah. So we took the kind of like the visual trappings of that genre, because I do think like it's so striking, and it's like just such a cool way of laying out like the maximalist frame, and a lot of that was due to technical requirements. But we thought like, okay, this looks really cool, so let's use this. We're actually a lot closer to the Western school adventure games, and that's stuff like your LucasArts, Monkey Island, Sam & Max, Indiana Jones, or like the Sierra Quest series, like Police Quest, Space Quest, King's Quest, and things like that. And the main thing that we took from those is a lot of them have like these very sort of rich, well-realized worlds, because like, everything is really interactive and your character has always got like a lot to say. You can investigate stuff, touch stuff, use stuff. There's so many different contexts that you can talk to NPCs in. So we sort of took that element of like these rich environments that you can really engage in, that really feel like well developed. But then what we did away with was the just really cryptic puzzles. Because in some of those games, like I think some of the early King's Quest ones, you could basically make the second half of the game impossible for yourself with a throwaway decision in the first half of the game. Or in Monkey Island, there's one puzzle that like, so as a European, there's a puzzle that relies on a language joke about a monkey wrench, and like the hints are given you towards that, but over here we'd just call that a spanner.
Yeah,
so
I was just thinking that. Yeah, oops.
So many Europeans that are like lost in Monkey Island for ages because it's just like, I can't get past this part. What's a monkey wrench? So, and some of these puzzles can be really like just excessively over the top. So what we kind of wanted to do is have that sense of exploration, have that sense of world, have those puzzles, but strip out, like, unless you happen to know exactly what the guy who designed this game was thinking, or are willing to click to combine everything with everything in every background.
Yeah.
You very easily get stuck. Because what we wanted was the player to be leading a narrative and that to be the experience. We didn't intend for it to be a puzzle game. And so, stuff with the hacking the locks towards the end of the game, if that was part of your experience, we didn't want to make that. Originally, we were looking at something much more complicated, and we thought, you know what, let's not do that. Or using items. So originally, there's a lot of textual hints, and we got to the point where we thought, well, some of the solutions, are just you use this item in this place. And we thought, well, this isn't a puzzle game, so that's why the item lights up. So we kind of looked at it, took the best bits, took some of the other bits, and then turned really critical to them and said, like, well, why are we taking these things? Because there's a point to taking them if you think it can enrich the experience. But if it's just for the sake of carrying on a genre convention, is that really any good for anyone?
Sure. Is that useful? Yeah.
Yeah. So we took the two and just combined what we felt were the best bits to tell a story together, and left behind what we didn't feel was conducive to that.
What was like one of the, were there any specific, like, was there a section where it was like, we have this puzzle here, let's just take this out entirely? Like, were there any examples of something that just didn't make it in there?
To be fair, because of the amount of work that went into making them, we were very mindful from the beginning. So there was no like sort of fully fledged like puzzle sequence that we just stripped out. If anything, there's a lot of stuff we didn't have the time to put into the game that we would have liked to add. Like a lot of the puzzles do kind of boil down, and this is extremely reductive, to what I kind of consider the Resident Evil school of puzzle, which is you go to a place, you see a thing, you find a thing, you take that thing to that place gives you a new thing, you take that thing somewhere else, that will give you a different thing, which you'll then take somewhere else, and then you do that thing, and then you can proceed. Which is incredibly reductive. It's
the key cards, or it's the keys that have symbols on them or whatever. Yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I we would have liked to do something a little bit sort of more involved, not necessarily harder or something, but a lot of the game is kind
just
of based
intricate,
off,
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the game is based off that kind of school of puzzles, I guess I'd call it.
Well, the nice thing about making that title a plural is that you can maybe explore that later on.
Yeah, I mean, we have got. I know we'll talk about it later. We have got some plans and some stuff that we want to do, and I think we'll definitely be taking advantage of some missed opportunities like later down the line. But it's just you wouldn't think it with indie developers that you'd wind up with cut content, or because up until towards the end, we weren't really working to anyone's timeline or anything, so we had as much time as we wanted, but there is only so much time in the world. So there are a lot of like really cool ideas that we just had to leave behind because we were like, we need to finish this game at some point.
I think there's definitely a threshold where it's like this project starts to twist in on itself because we're too busy doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, just to talk a little bit about like what's going on in the game. We actually kind of briefly talked about this already. We have this sort of intro where it's like we start the game at the end of a different story. And I think that does kind of something very specific with a lot of the different characters. Like I mean, obviously the big thing is you and your rival character have a whole thing going on because of this. But like, was that something that like I when you mentioned your specific angle on the romance being like a kind of cornerstone, my thought was like, is this another one of those things that you wanted to do, or was it just sort of like a backdrop?
So it's a big part of the game that I wanted to do I wanted to kind of explore that setting that is common within the mecha genre. It's basically you have a ship full of characters, and then there is a threat or something that unites them, basically. Like and that's like so widespread. It's just that's a huge cornerstone, the mecha genre. And what I wanted to do is a lot of those shows, they obviously take part during the conflict, which is really obvious because that's when all the exciting stuff happens, especially in mecha shows, because people are tuning in to see the old fashioned, people are watching it to see giant robots like fight each other. So if it was just peacetime and nothing was happening, would not be a great show. But I didn't want to be telling because those stories are also inherently about the conflict they are taking place within, because I wanted Gundog to be a very sort of personally scaled story. I didn't want it to be a big story, about a huge ongoing war where, you're part of it, or you might possibly as the main character wind up being a central element to it. I wanted it to be just a story about people. And that conflict at the beginning of the game is there because it's such a one, I think, like you said, it really sort of overshadows the whole setting, and it really informs a lot of stuff that about the setting, about the characters and things. But it's also a really great way to set up trauma and relationships. So, it's almost kind of like a shorthand for development for a lot of the characters. You can, with the player character in particular, they come with their own trauma. With Anson, obviously, he's very affected by it. Every character in the game, by and large, is affected by it in some regards. So despite having this really disparate cast, they've all got this big unifying factor behind them. And that was a really useful way for me to sort of tie them all together for this story, where otherwise, if you just had this cast that didn't have that relationship, I think it would be a lot harder to get them kind of into the positions where the things that happen within the story could happen. So it was I was deliberately avoiding the large scale conflict, as narrative itself, but as a narrative device, as a history, it does a lot of work. And I felt it put a lot of both the characters and the setting in a really interesting place that, again, we don't really see, because a lot of just media in general is about that big exciting event as it's going on. We don't typically tend to see what happens afterwards.
I think of the bridge between Mobile Suit Gundam and Zeta Gundam being in some ways Zeta Gundam from its first episode is just, yes, we are just doing this again. But then, 15, 20 episodes in, when you meet Amuro again and you kind of see what he's been up to since the end of the war, and it's one of the most dire situations a person can be in. I totally, that was kind of what I was thinking about when I formulated that question of just what if Amuro was 8 queer people and
exactly. And I think it's just I think it is much more Zeta Gundam than it is 0079, because 0079 it is the story of the conflict and how the conflict itself is affecting people as it happens, whilst Zeta, although you have this new conflict, as you sort of rediscover the remaining cast members from the first Gundam, you're oh, they've been through it, and not just through the 1 year war, they've been through the just short of a decade that's happened between now and then, and that had their own consequences, and they're different people in a different place. And that is what I did with this setting.
Totally. I mean, and just to we hinted at it earlier, but to speak of bridging, things to other things, do you have anything that you can talk about in terms of Space Colony's future for Stories from Seoul? First of all, is the Bartermuse dating game real, or was that a joke? I still don't know.
Well, it's a tricky one. Because I think it's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'm really excited. And I'll just say, personally, a lot of stuff that I do often starts off as a joke. So I'm not going to commit us to anything, but I'm just gonna put that out there. We wouldn't have done that if we because a good April Fool's joke needs a good central premise. Otherwise, you just wind up.
It does, yeah.
something really, really throwaway.
Otherwise, you're just lying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something I've sort of got in the corner of my eye at any one given time. It just depends how things go, because we have got
totally,
obviously, the stories from Soul. The intent with Gundog was always just as a love letter to this particular element of the mecha genre. The mecha genre goes far beyond the kind of things you see in Gundog. Like, the mecha genre isn't just 20 dudes on a spaceship with robots. There's so much more to it than that. I think the mecha genre is one of those just extremely rich genres where it just instantly kind of unfolds into so many possibilities.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and I think it also, like, it's a genre that's a lot broader than people give it credit for. Like, it's not necessarily just robots fighting robots.
I mean, and like, we don't even really get that until like the latter parts of the game here, which I think is a good choice. And there's a lot to be said of a mech being in the background of something. The physical space that they take up even when they're not doing anything. So I can kind of see how that comes together. And to speak of mechs being kind of in the backgrounds while characters bounce off of each other. We have you said something that made me chuckle a little bit, which is the Gundog isn't just like 20 dudes on a spaceship. It's been a little while, but I think there's actually only one dude. I mean, assuming that you make the player character a woman, I think there's only one male character in the game. Am I misremembering?
Well, I mean, so there's Hansen, and then there's Dylan and Dalton as well.
Yes.
So,
okay, cool. So
they're not. So Hansen is really the most kind of what you consider traditionally masculine.
Sure.
Like he's very much got that like jock bro energy to him. And then you've got Dalton, he's very young. He's 18, compared to most of the cast who are mid-20s onwards. And he's just extremely anxious.
Me.
yeah. And then you've got Dylan, the ship's gunner, who again is very laid back. He's very passive, and is always sort of deliberately keeping himself out of the story. Like, he's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, there's narrative happening over there, and I want nothing to do with it. So again, he's not got that kind of classic anime like protagonist energy, or even like anime masculine energy to him. And there's also the doctor as well.
Oh yes, how could I forget?
And again, but as a older man who again is quite checked out for his own reasons, when I was making this, it was never the intent that it would be so sort of referential to mecha anime that I would take on a lot of like the conventions and tropes, because I was not like, oh, this will be the next Mobile Suit Gundam or anything like that. I was thinking this will be its own thing. I wanted to have like a well-balanced cast. Again, similarly, I never set out for it to be like a kind of really overtly feminist message, pedagogic game that was selling that. It just kind of turned out that way. I'm really happy with how it turned out, because I think I'm just it's a strange one to go, oh, are there any in this game? It's like, there are 4. Oh yeah. And I think that does kind of like contrast with what we obviously like. I think the genre has been changing a lot recently, especially with the surprising sort of consecutive female protagonists in a mainline Gundam series.
Yeah.
But I think historically you kind of look at it very male oriented, very very like sort of specific ideas of masculinity as well.
Well, and to just kind of put the actual statement on it, like a genre that has historically been pretty unkind to women characters.
Yes.
I like I like that more. It's kind of like a weird ground to tread, right? I like it more that it kind of came together naturally that way than like a push to sort of say, I want this ratio of gender, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Even though I think, you know, one of the main kind of interactions I see people talking about this game is how I have not seen a single person talk about having made a male protagonist.
Well, this is one of the things that really surprised me. So obviously, as like a straight white male myself, I didn't go into it looking to tell, like I said, like a overtly
queer story. Right.
I didn't look to go into it telling like a queer story either, because that's obviously not my lived experience. Like I'm aware of it, I guess. But but it's not my story to tell. But what I did want to do is, I mentioned this earlier, I wanted this to be the player's story. I didn't want this to be the players playing my story. I wanted this to be a story that the players would go through and they would be perfectly happy with being like, yes, this has allowed me to do what I want to do. Obviously within the limits of, what one man can write. And I was absolutely thrilled when we did our first sort of a demo that came with a survey. We had like a free notes field, and we'd get like a lot of comments just saying like, "Oh, as a queer woman, I love the fact that I started off and it was just, I was instantly in a relationship with another woman," or as a queer individual, like the degree of sort of representation of different attitudes. Like I thought that was really good, and I think a lot of people didn't expect it because of the the genre and the setting and things like that.
Sure.
And so they were really, really surprised. And like watching a lot of streams, there's a few like quotes I can kind of remember, but there's one streamer in particular I was watching, and they ran into Haru, and they were like, "Oh dang, they made this for the gays," and I was like, not intentionally, but you know what? You take it, it's yours. Go for it. Absolutely. Like I'm very of the kind of. I sort of call it the Tumblr school of narrative and interpretation, where it's pretty much death of the author. Like I can have all the intent I want, but once it is in the audience's hand, it is the audience's, and I am like absolutely happy that is what people will be doing. And like the stereotype is on Tumblr, stuff can get so wildly out of hand with how people interpret it. You're almost like, are you guys talking about the same thing? But like I said, I want it to be people's story. I want it to be their story. I want it to be the story. I want them to interpret it however they want, and to give them the scope to be able to do that, and not just be a rigidly straight story, or a story with like a really rigid moral, or like a really rigid lesson. So the fact that has happened, it was absolutely great to see people taking what they wanted and being able to give so many people that opportunity to do that. It was just absolutely fantastic. I loved seeing it.
Yeah, I to wrap back around to another point you made too, just about the angle that this game took on the romance story. I think a lot of people identified with a really important cornerstone of that, which is that like if it basically doubles down on your original point, right? Which is to say, visual novels are. It's reductive to say plagued or lousy, but full of the romance. Like I am aiming this game in a romantic direction for the sake of developing a relationship with a specific NPC. You almost never see queer characters in a lasting, existing relationship. Just in general, and that's something that like all three of us are queer. Like this is explicitly a queer podcast, and so like we will be talking about. The idea of like lesbian marital bliss, or depending on your playthrough, lack thereof, I guess.
Yeah.
But that is an angle that you just don't see, and so I think that hit for a lot of people, even if it wasn't something that was like on the drawing board in the first place.
And like again, it's just really serendipitous that is something that can be read from it, because I think it would have been, if I'd gone into it with the, or any other writer have gone into it with the intention of making that explicitly part of the text, I think it would have struggled so much. But having deliberately sort of left stuff blank, like, the entire time I was writing, I was like, people will just do what they want with this.
Yeah.
I think weirdly, it actually makes it easier for people to be able to examine, that kind of subject through Gundog as a lens than if I deliberately really sort of like try to make a point of it. So like, again, absolutely thrilled that there's a lot of different like interpretations and readings and people are getting what they want out of it. And because I think that's fantastic, because this kind of stuff, if it's ever done, designed by committee or insincere or just like, okay, we need to tick some boxes, throw this stuff in, people can always tell. And I'm not saying like don't do it, but I think narrative games especially are extremely collaborative with the audience, because you totally as the writer don't have the absolute say over what this story is or what it means to people. So I think just kind of being aware that you can leave some space for players to play in effectively, and it can become something totally different. And that's kind of like what I was doing when I set the story up in this way. Totally.
I mean, and so yeah, to being a queer mecha podcast, I suppose we should talk about the other half of that, which is the Mechs. I think looking at the cover art of the game, it is pretty clear how we get here, like from a design sensibility, but like, can you just kind of codify some of the actual touchstones that play with like the actual what are the Mechs actually called?
Armored frames.
Oh, okay, armored frames. Gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, this is a Dom Trooper's head, but like, what are some of the other things that we have going on here?
Yeah. So the Juno, it went through a few people actually. So the initial designer. So I sort of gave them just a vague brief, and I wanted it to be just a really generic grunty mecha. So the first sort of like brief I gave was like, a little bit of the Jagen from Shah's Counterattack, a little bit of Zaku, a little bit of Leo from Gundam Wing. It was all like the touch points were just grunt mecha, because I wanted this to be really just the most generic of the generic. Because as I said earlier, like, I didn't want this to be a story about a big hero in the middle of like a big war getting
with a special robot. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you are just this character. You are just not special. Unfortunately, you are just subject to circumstance. And the design of the Juno was kind of representative of that. And then, I took that original design, then I did a bit of a reworking myself, made it a bit more kind of like clunky industrial, put some like guardrails, on its ankles and things like that. And then the final sort of design went through a great artist called Siege Fault, who's done work on Lancer, does a lot.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you familiar with the Fetty Scum podcast at all? It's a Gundam actual play.
I've heard of it. I have not listened to it, but yes, I have. I've
exist in like the edges of the same Venn diagram.
But we just did a Lancer episode, actually.
Yes, yeah. So he's done like a lot of artwork for Lancer, and he does a lot of artwork for that podcast as well. And he is a massive Dom fan. So he's sort of like, he was like, "Oh, do you mind if I touch this design up?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And then it just came back with this Dom head. I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
It's one of, in my opinion, and this is something I've said on the pod before, it is one of the greatest robot heads ever designed by anybody, I think.
I mean, the little cross guard with the eyes, the blooping up and down, left and right. Fantastic. You can't get a better visual gimmick than that.
No. I guess I should say, do you define the other thing that we deal with here as a mech? It seems to be piloted, right?
Yeah. I think I'll stick to what you see in gameplay.
Yeah.
It does qualify as mech. Yeah, I'd call that a mech.
Okay. And so like, was that kind of the same story? I mean, I get, like I said, it's been a while. When I think about it in my head, all I see is the big Zam. But was there like any other things that went into that one that like kind of, I obviously you want the different shape language and everything because it's like an alien vessel or whatever. But like, what were some of the other things that went into that one?
So the intent with that one was very much, I kind of borrowed a page from the original Alien films sort of design philosophy. And that was where you had the spacecraft and everything, the Nostromo. That was all designed by Sid Mead.
Yes.
Obviously, like incredibly like prolific mechanical designer, did, the Turn A and everything. Whereas the Xenomorph was done by H.R. Geiger. And you've got these like two design sensible, like, Sid Mead as like initially like a sort of product designer going into mechanical design, grounding everything in the real world and like an understanding of like shapes and geometry and stuff. And then you got H.R. Geiger with like his fetish psychosexual BDSM nightmare. And so I wanted there to be this conflict there. So a lot of like the visual language for the enemy craft, as I'll call it, is actually sort of like fairly insectoid.
Yes.
So the scene in the hangar where it's coming up, that was sort of very based off like a spider slowly kind of like mounting, pressing something, and then the scene in space. That was inspired by the way it moves is actually inspired by a grasshopper. Like if you watch that animation, there's a bit where it comes around sort of to the front of the screen and you'll see its like legs come up and then spring out and then it shoots off again. So the intent was to really kind of like make it distinct from what a lot of people expect in the mecha genre. And there were like, some more sort of traditional design touch points for that. So the Ghost in the Shell actually provided us with a lot. So the Tachikoma.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a huge Ghost in the Shell unit right now. So very much.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So the both the Tachikoma and the Spider Tank, because I consider Ghost in the Shell like mecha adjacent. They're very unusual for what they are, and so that sort of like parts of them were brought into it as well.
Interesting. I think that makes a lot of sense. We just did the original Ghost in the Shell 1989 manga, which features the Fuchikomas, which are similar to the Tachikomas, but actually a lot more insectoid. I think that looks closer to what we end up seeing here, which is really, really cool. I like I called it in the episode. I actually called it kind of Akira Toriyama-esque, the way it was like kind of a cute bug. I will say this is not a cute bug. This is a scary bug, but yeah, I get that kind of lineage. But yeah, we're kind of coming up to the end here. I loved the fighting that happens in the late stage of this game. And so I was kind of wondering like what makes a good mecha fight to you? What are some of like your favorite all time like I wouldn't call what happens here duels, but like what are some of your favorite duels, I
was having a tough time with this question, and I think what I'd sort of decided on was it's the emotion in the moment. And obviously like because there's a huge amount of technical and animation elements that make like a great fight that you can just like really go off at. Like, it's all about angles and foreshortening and framing and this and that and the other. But I think like every sort of fight I think on, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's the emotion behind it. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be like the best, although it helps if it's incredibly animated. But it's just like the emotion behind it. So as an example, I'd use like the fight between the Zaku and the Gundam Alex in 0080.
Oh yeah.
So that fight is like, as part of like, the Gundam franchise, especially at that point in time, such a standout because it's not like sort of, a fated duel. It's not like these two ideologies like clashing. It's just two people who really don't want to be there having an awful time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, and importantly, it's also pointless.
Yeah. Bernie is scared out of his mind. Christina it's not what she's there for. And both of them are just, you can tell like the adrenaline is pumping but not in a like, you know, this is how I'm going to be able to actualize myself. One is there for just raw survival, and the other is there almost kind of because as part of like their 9 to 5, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then just like the feeling, especially as it's like, you know, emphasized by Al witnessing this whole thing where the Alex slides out into this clearing and stands up, and the Zaku's just sort of glumly marches in and an arm falls off and the music starts swelling. And even as the audience, you're just like, please do not do this.
Yeah.
Please don't do this. So I think like for me, that's just a huge part of what makes like a great fight scene. And so the scenes we had in the game, that's kind of like what I wanted to carry through as well, because, you know, I think there's pretty much like what I'd say, like there's 3 main mech action scenes in the game. You've got the prologue where effectively nothing happens for you.
Right.
But it's just so rife with emotion. Then you've got the one sort of at the midpoint of the game, and there are different ways it could go. And, you know, working in like Renpai in the visual novel genre with this limited budget, that we had to sort of be really efficient with what we could do. But one of the emotions that I wanted was just sort of like stress and terror. And that's why when you've got certain, you know, depending on the outcome, like if you use the foam, I believe, like Hansen will, you know, throws the gun away, draws his knife, and he is just punctuating his sentence with like these stabs. Like it's clearly like a act of desperation. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, the scene with the cannons, when you're thinking like, if this works, we are not going to come off this well, but we need to do it. So, you know, I kind of wanted like to make those fight scenes really, and it's, you know, the finale as well.
Yeah,
like,
I was just gonna say, I think what we get to with that, and I agree with you. It's you know, as someone who's also kind of a creative in that same space, I think a fight should be a cap of the circumstances that brought us here, and not just there because you're supposed to be fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think because a big, you know, the mecha genre as a whole is it's sort of people being able to engage with something that is larger than themselves with a like idealized form. Like it's sort of like their avatar. Like whenever anything becomes like mecha scale, the problems become mecha scale. You know, like a lot of the best mecha animes have these hugely sort of personal plots.
Yes.
And the mecha are just there to like inflate the size of these plots way beyond what they would just be at like a normal human scale. And so
we love
like
it for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like I just think the fight scenes are kind of there to, you know, the prologue again, that is establishing the player character's trauma, but it's just really inflating the trauma way past just like, you know, a normal level into something that then is a guiding factor for the rest of the game.
Completely. Okay, I've got one last question here. It's the question I ask everybody I interview. What is your favorite all-time mech?
I'm not sure if this is going to be disappointing or not, but I'm going to say it's going to be the GM from Gundam. The GM and things that come from the GM and GM likes. Like I will always go to bat for the Genoace from Gundam Age. Just the single most jobbing mech in any mech and like accomplishes nothing. But I'm just like it's just a little guy trying his best. Like
I hadn't seen Gundam Age. I just looked this guy up. If you haven't listened, like one of the I actually you have not disappointed me at all, because one of the things that we talk about a lot is Alice, my co-host, that is also her favorite mech of all time is the GM.
Excellent.
She loves the generic mass-produced guys who are just kind of there to get by.
yeah, exactly. They've somehow got here. This is their job. You know, it's the mecha anime equivalent. Like, I've got to be in the office tomorrow.
Yeah.
People are gonna shout at me, and like as you know, you kind of grow past the like. At this point in my life, I'm never going to fall into the cockpit of a Gundam and go off on a fantastic adventure where, you know, I hit actualization. Best I can do you is like I can show up and I can try hard and we'll see what happens. And that's just what I get from the GM. It's just trying its best.
Totally. Love that. I mean, yeah, John, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This has been really, really illuminating. I'm really glad we get to kind of get your, not to be like weirdly journalistic, but to get your story out.
No problem at all. I mean, thank you for having me. Like, it's like, I love talking about this. So anyone who goes, oh, would you like to have a chat? I'm like, yes, 100%. Brilliant. Get me on board. I'll do it.
The one thing we've never been the timely podcast. Like we've never been a news. What we're doing right now, actually, Alice and I are covering GQucks like in real time. But even that, we're doing we're waiting and doing 3 episodes and doing 1 episode per 3 instead of doing it weekly.
That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It hasn't really been in our priority zone. So I say that to say that like when this episode comes out, the game will have been out for quite a while. And so you may have gotten a chance to say a lot of this stuff to other outlets. But I still thank you very much for giving it to us here first.
Oh, no worries. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me and then having me on.
That was a great interview.
Welcome back from the interview.
That was great.
How's everybody feeling about that interview?
I feel enlightened.
I like accents.
I feel awakened.
Like accents.
I was more Welsh.
I was hoping one of you would be like, that was dog shit.
I'm not choosing that. I'm not choosing to side with the mutineers in this podcast.
Right.
I'm not compromising myself by sleeping with a shady woman on this podcast. Can I just say, I kept waiting for the fact that I slept with a shitty woman to like become relevant in the game. They just let me do that. And no one brought it up. Cassie never brought it up. The captain never brought it up. Lord never referred to it. The closest she got was, I thought we were close. I just get to live with that now. She
just needed a good fuck. Let's be honest.
And I in one universe, she got it. That was this episode of On the Shoulders of Giants, where we discussed Stories from Soul. Any final thoughts, gang, ?
Not me researching how to get a 1/7 scale resin printed statue of Cassie to put on my desk and longingly look at. I love you, Cassie. Great game. A++. Can't wait for more.
My final thought is not me looking up how to get a resin printer to print a much larger figure of the Chief.
Catch me buying the stuff that I need to wear a bomber jacket. I guess that would be buying a bomber jacket.
Who could know what you need for that?
Buying a bomber jacket.
In case someone's obsessive enough, like Ghost, for example, to connect the dots. At this time frame, I'm about to record a GQucks episode also, and this is the energy that I'm apparently bringing into that.
Do you have what you need for the GQucks episode, such as the GQucks?
Or the bomber jacket?
This time it's actually... Oh, Nico, this is going to blast Nico into orbit.
Can't wait.
Yeah?
Actually, what I'm bringing to this recording is a Gundam named, literally, and I'm not kidding, Fred. So...
Why won't you let me meet Fred? Why am I trapped in G-Savior hell? Why can't I meet Fred? I want to meet Fred. Why don't they let me meet Fred? I'm over here with fucking Mark Carney or whatever the fuck his name is. And the Guppy.
And Guppy.
I'm trapped in there, and y'all are out here watching some shit with like, I don't know, Yoko Kanno's probably in it, knowing my luck. You fuckers.
Catch us in 2 weeks when we will be discussing the long-awaited Heavenly Tyrant, Part 1.
Start reading now. It's longer than the other one, and I'm sure it is just as full of shit. Also, if you haven't already, read the Communist Manifesto in intertext for this book.
Thanks for listening, pilots. Remember, you can reach out for advice from the team at our email, questions@osgpod.com. Why did I say email like that?
Real 90s point-and-click adventure pronunciation. Get your parents' permission.
They say Parmesan.
Get your parents'
weird.
permission before going to osgpod.com.
I'm fucking cooked. Again, questions@osgpod.com, and non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media for updates and more. We have a Discord. We have a Ko-Fi. We have a Twitch channel. All of those things are happening.
And the links are in the description.
We're giving you so much of our lives. Please take it and hold it like this. I'm holding my hands up.
Bride's cupping his hands.
I'm cupping my hands. Until then, goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. I love you.
That's the first time you've said that to me. Well, goodbye. I love you too.